2004-ish, I started making my move.
We ran a story on one of our shows the other day about Walgreens in San Francisco. And how every single refrigerator is chained up.
Right.
Because people just steal stuff. And while they were in a Walgreens.
3 robberies.
Yeah. You saw the same one.
Yep. I didn't see the story. I saw a story on the Post about it.
But they captured one. Like, the guy was walking out with stuff, and the lady's like, "Did he pay?" And the lady behind the counter goes, "No." Gone.
And we all pay for it.
The most robbed Walgreens on Earth is in San Francisco.
I'm very anti-Walgreens.
Any reason in particular? I prefer Walgreens to CVS.
I do too, and I don't like either of them. I switched all my prescription stuff to Publix. I get my prescriptions at Publix. They're nicer. They're friendlier. The prescription people at Walgreens are angry. They're just mean bunch of people.
I switched the last 3 to 5 years. I lived in Fort Myers to Cypress Lake Pharmacy. One of the old school,
right?
Awesome, without question, best drugstore I've ever. And I worked in a pharmacy for 3 years in high school. This place was amazing, and not only that, it smelled good. I even said that to them. I go, "How the heck do you get a pharmacy to smell good?"
Potpourri.
That's what I said. I said, "What do you guys got potpourri here? I don't see any of it." I go, "I feel like I went over a fancy person's house and I went to the bathroom." It's like, man, it's lovely in here. People would just look at me. I go, "Yes, that's right. I said it's lovely." And of course, I'm the youngest person in this store. They're all looking at me.
Oh, on that note, my mom played cards. I went over and dropped the daughter off Tuesday night because she was going to spend the night at my mom's. My mom had 3 gals over playing cards. I had a doctor's appointment Wednesday, so it worked out better in the morning. And apparently when I left, one of the other 3 old women, because they're all about 80, looked at my mom and goes, "I don't mean to be rude, but your son is sexy."
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final Thursday of July. Forget the magic numbers of 30, 35, and 42. Hell, the football season's already upon us. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Not only that, we got our first big trade, and the deadline's not even until next Tuesday. Got guys giving back money. Got guys walking away from $600 million. Man, is this March, October? The sports scene is nuts in late July. Good morning. How are you?
I am good, and that doesn't even touch on what was played on the baseball diamond yesterday, as there was more good games going on around the league. It just keeps delivering. You and I, for years, get into this time of the year and go, "Oh, boy, what are we going to do? How are we going to make it until football season?" And inevitably, the sports gods deliver, David.
Well, we've said it for years. The best reality television is sports. And, everything we're talking about today is real. Yeah, there's a few hypotheticals, what is going to happen. But, I mean, if you just talked about what has actually happened, you could do shows for hours every day. It's remarkable what's going on does it feel like the college football season is 30 days away to week 0 after the news that broke yesterday afternoon and evening? Or does it feel like, oh, no, season's underway?
We're here.
Yeah. I mean, if we got schools on the move, I guess the season started. We playing Saturday? No, not yet. No, final Saturday of August, not July, August. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, maybe I need to gear up, because how many teams are going to leave their respective homes between now and then? That should be our poll question. First nomination of the day.
Look at you.
That's my nomination for the poll question. How many colleges leave their conference between now and week 0? It's 30 days. Do we have a team per day? Go.
And look at the Pac-12 has not reacted to Colorado's apparent leaving for the Big 12. But who knew the Mountain West had more kahunas than the Pac-12?
Mountain West is just sitting there going, hey, you guys that are left, just let us know. It's got, you can join us.
Right. We kept San Diego State. I mean, the irony is that they played hardball with their school and held their feet to the fire and won.
Right. Hell, they got San Diego State to pay all the legal fees and everything else. That whatever that soap opera was that you guys helped cause, you're paying for it. And by the way, when you show up at the conference meetings, you guys sit in the back. In fact, you help put the food out. That's what you do. You keep running back and forth to the truck and you empty it, and you make sure that the spread looks real nice there for our other members.
And when we stack chairs, we may need you.
Right. Yeah, I know. That was very impressive. You guys played for the national championship in basketball last year. Boy, that seems like forever ago. Kawhi who played for you? Never heard of him. So I have a very serious question to ask, and this is probably way too early in the show to ask it, and I am probably going to periodically ask it of our audience throughout the show today. So you're the Big 12, and you can get a phone call from 4 or 5 schools in the Pac-12, or you can get a phone call from about 6 schools in the ACC. And we're going to talk to Jeff Cameron in Tallahassee, and I don't know many people who cover Florida State better than Jeff Cameron. And not only that, we like him. And so he's going to join us coming up at the top of, I think late in the 8 o'clock hour, around 8:30 or so.
And not only that, he moderately likes us, so he comes on the show. And that's
I know. His stock's even higher. But in all seriousness, how in the world does Colorado affect Florida State and Miami? Now, sometimes I've got some crazy theories, but hear me out. Mark, if the 2 Arizona schools and Utah come running with Colorado, that makes 16. There's a report that there's another Pac-12 school not connected by the 4 corners there that also is running. And most people are speculating it's one of the 2 Oregon schools. And it may not be the one that you would think. Because Oregon and Washington, I think, are still holding out hope that they're going to go to the Big Ten.
And that leaves Oregon State and Washington State without homes if the Pac-12. I mean, they're the 2 most vulnerable schools in the Pac-12.
But there's also a report, because, Colorado would make 13. The 2 Arizonas and Utah would make 16. There was a report yesterday that Connecticut's coming too. Now, I have to admit, are they coming for all sports, or are they just coming for football? Because they're an independent in football, but they're in the Big East. And they wanted to be in the Big East. They got up and left their conference, paid the fine and everything, because they wanted to play Big East basketball. It's important to them. Now, the Big 12 basketball is awesome. Could argue it's the best basketball in the country. But I'll be very curious. 1, is this move happening? And 2, is it in all sports or just football? But I think you know what I'm getting at here. If you're the Big 12, Colorado's one thing. Denver, they've got some tradition, even though it's 20 and 30 years ago. But if you could add 4 or 5 other schools, would you want it to be the 2 Arizonas and Utah and maybe Connecticut and or in Oregon State, whatever it is? Or remember, we got 7 unhappy schools with Louisville on the fence in the ACC. And Mark, you and I deep down feel if 6 of them say they're leaving, Virginia and North Carolina will quietly call the Big Ten and say, you want us? That makes 8. That dissolves the conference. If you're the Big 12 and you're adding schools and you had your choice, because I think right now you might be able to make that choice, whether the ACC schools call you or you reach out to, say, Florida State and say, can you put the gang together? If so, call me. Mark, you're running the Big 12. Who do you want?
I'd want the ACC schools, and it's not close. When have the Arizona schools ever been relevant nationally? Ever. Basketball, occasionally Arizona.
Really, the Jake Plummer 96 Arizona State football team that was undefeated in the Rose Bowl, and Ohio State denied them of probably at least a share of the national championship. That's the only time I can think of in the last 30 years that one of those two schools had a season that was really national worthy.
And I've never understood why Arizona State can't compete at the highest level.
Right. You've said that.
That's one that's been mind-boggling me with the market, where they are, their ability to recruit both Texas and California. I always thought Arizona State was a school that should be a much better athletic school than they are. With that being said, I think I'd go ACC.
And so now put yourself in the shoes of Florida State and Clemson this morning. How many schools do you think the Big 12 is going to take? Because if this by the way, Oregon has a meeting 4 hours before Colorado does. They called an emergency meeting last night. Oregon did. What do you think it is they're talking about in late July? You think it has anything to do with academics? No. So if I'm Florida State and Clemson, okay, are we having a conversation today going, if 4, 5, 6 schools load up and leave and the Big 12 becomes 16 to 18 schools, is there going to be room for us? I mean, they're going to take 6 of us? I mean, are they going to go to 24? I mean, that's what you have to wonder. How big would you go as a conference? I think the biggest you can go is 20, personally. But, I mean, 16, I wouldn't want to go bigger than. But I think the biggest you can go is 20. I really wouldn't want to go bigger than 18. But you know what I'm getting at here. If you're those schools at the ACC that are unhappy and you're tied into a contract for another 12 years making no money, I mean, is the time now? If you miss the ferry, are you ever going to get home?
And the Big 12 now with their expansion, they are up for a new TV deal. They can pass the ACC. They're going to be all of a sudden getting more money than the ACC. As we've talked about, the ACC is locked in.
Well, and part of this deal for Colorado is they're getting a full media share immediately. They'll join the Big 12 in a year and they'll get their $32 million. Boom, just like everybody else. Which I do have to wonder if I'm UCF and BYU and Houston and Cincinnati. It's like, hold on a second. Isn't that more than we're getting? Right? Don't we have to wait a few years till we get the few share? I mean, hello. But anyway, I digress. But the $32 million, by the way, is more than they're getting right now in the ACC, and their contract's up in a much shorter period of time, in which what's happening to these TV deals? Well, they're going up every year, seemingly. Answer me this question, okay? You're Florida State, Clemson, deep down. How many schools do you think the Big 12 is going to go to?
David, there's no way they're going to more than 20.
Okay. Well, if the 2 Arizonas and Utah join Colorado, that's 16. Never mind if Oregon and Washington can't wait. Never mind if one of those schools in Connecticut joins and makes 18. I mean, is that it? Does the Big 12 say, well, we're done. Good luck. We're done.
There's part of me that thinks they'd go to that conferences would go to 24. I hate the idea of it. I think 16's ideal. If in the expansion model, I mean, you and I would both go back to smaller conferences geographically, but that's not going to happen. Of course.
Right, obviously. And that, to me, no one's looking that far ahead, but that's the first thing I thought of. Wow. If this exodus is going to happen, Where does that leave the ACC schools that want out? Seems like it leaves them stuck in the ACC for a dozen more years.
And think about where the Big Ten, the SEC, and the new Big 12 television contract could take those schools ahead of the ACC in that time.
So how does Colorado affect Florida State and Miami? That's how we think it does. Because how big are these conferences willing to get, Mark? Miller and Moulton. Got a great show lined up. Talk some NFL with Frank Garcia, previewing the Panthers. All right, Matt Murschel. How does Colorado affect UCF?
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what the toughest thing for me talking about these conferences? Keep thinking I'm forgetting a school. You know what I mean?
You're not. Texas isn't in the conference after next year, Ambien.
Right.
Neither is Oklahoma.
Right. There are 14 schools this year, but they're 12 next year. So Colorado joins their 13. Well, they're moving to the Big 12 for money. And actually, they competed much better in the Big 12 than they did the Pac-12.
Yeah, they recruited Texas better than they ever recruited California.
And I'll bet you it came up in conversations with Dion, who's based in Texas. I think said, I'd much rather recruit Texas than California. What can the NCAA do? Can't stop.
Remember, they're event planners.
Yeah. Oh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Thanks for joining us. Final Thursday of July. Busy times in the sports world. A lot going on. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Got a great show lined up for you. Frank Garcia, Matt Murschel, Jeff Cameron, beginning in a little more than an hour. Our magic numbers, and they are getting small. First digit tomorrow, Mark's going to be a 2. 30, 35, and 42. 4 weeks from Saturday, week 0. Scratch that itch if you need it, if you just need to see some football on the screen. 5 weeks tonight, Gators in Utah, UCF hosting Kent State, member of the Big 12, the rapidly expanding Big 12. And 6 weeks tonight, Lions and Chiefs. 30, 35, and 42 are our magic numbers. Speaking of 35, that's how many millions Aaron Rodgers gave back to the Jets yesterday.
He is just taking this whole New York thing by storm. Man of the people. That's all Aaron Rodgers is these days.
and we want to hear from Packers Nation. Text us at 21,000. So if you're a Packers fan, let's review how the last 2 years went. Couldn't decide if he was playing. All right. And had to renegotiate. Top dollar. Cap hit of over $100 million in 2024. That's not an exaggeration, by the way. Okay. His cap hit for next year was going to be $107.6 million. That's how they had to structure that contract. That's a big cap hit. in any sport. Hell, the Saudis look at that and go, that's a lot of money. And so now comes to the Jets, participates in all the workouts instead of staying at home till the first day of camp. All right. Hell, he's even training his replacement where we don't even know if he ever had a conversation with Jordan Love.
Throwing all the time, showing up early, doing everything that you want of a quarterback. Every single thing.
Listen, I got tickets to the Rangers and the Knicks and what have you. Who wants to go with me to these playoff games? How about a Broadway show? How about a Taylor Swift concert? What are you guys doing? All right, I'm free. And now, when he is guaranteed, it's in writing, guaranteed $110 million over the next 2 years. He says to the Jets, I don't know. Seems like a lot of money. You guys aren't going to be able to afford anybody if I'm making $110 million over the next 2 years, are you? How much money you need? Well, I don't know. Could you give back 20? I don't know. That doesn't seem like enough. I mean, what are you going to do with $10 million a year? Especially now at this late date. Oh, okay. 25? It's not much more than 20. No, guys, how much do you need? Well, okay. I mean, how about 35 million? Done. Draw it up. Remember when A-Rod tried to give back 12 million to the Red Sox and the Players Association said, we will shoot you. We will kill you. You are not allowed to do this. No, we're not kidding. You won't live to sign the contract. No way. Tell the Red Sox they want you. They got to pick up the full fare. And Theo and the boys were like, I don't know. It's a little rich for our blood. And the Yankees said, we'll take them. Mark, 35 million.
35 million, David, that he gave back to the Jets. That is very un-Aaron Rodgers-like, but apparently this new Aaron Rodgers is a more giving person, David.
And remember, this is real NFL money. This was guaranteed money. You know, most of the money in the NFL is not guaranteed. This was guaranteed money. Nah, I don't need it. You guys do something with it, will you? This young wide receiver, he's really good. This running back, that deep, just sign some guys, will you? I mean, it worked out pretty well for Brady. He left and got a ring. I need to get a ring.
In fact, call Gronk. See if he wants to come play.
Oh, man. 35 million. Do you know what his salary cap hit's going to be this year on the Jets cap? $8.8 million.
Ridiculous.
Wait, it gets better. Do you know what his salary cap hit is in Green Bay this year?
Oh, goodness.
Just take a guess.
42?
You're damn 40.3. Yep. He's counting $31.5 million more on the Packers cap than he is the Jets. I don't know. You know, it might take them a little longer than expected to get over this in Green Bay. How many years was it until they brought Favre back and did the number and what have you? I have a feeling it might be a little longer for number 12. What's worse, leaving and a year later ending up at one of your arch rivals and coming back and beating you? Or absolutely sticking it to you with the cap and leaving you with Jordan Love?
Well, believe it or not, David, the Favre going to Minnesota trumps all of it. It does.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd love to hear. We've got Packer fans that are listening. There are Packer fans everywhere. Tell us. 21,000 is the text line. I'd love to hear your take on this. Recency bias may have a little more oomph on Rodgers, but David, Brett Favre played for the Minnesota Vikings.
Not immediately, though. It was a year
I understand.
removed. Right.
I understand. It wasn't the Bears, but it was the Vikings.
Correct. Yeah, it was painful. I know. But, year 3, Rodgers wins the Super Bowl. And so, okay, let's let bygones be bygones. We love you. It ended badly. Most breakups do. Blah, blah, blah. $35 million. I didn't realize you could do that. I'm not kidding. Because it's guaranteed. It was guaranteed money. I didn't realize you can give guaranteed money back. I understand you can negotiate, like Brady negotiated his contracts. Brady didn't give money back. It came time to negotiate a new contract. He worked with the Patriots. He accepted less money. But they never went to Tom and said, Tom, you need to give us 10, 15 million back. Tom's like, no, I got a signed contract. 35 million.
Does tell you that Aaron's playing 3 years, by the way. That's what I took out of it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You're not giving that money back without a payday at the end. I'm sorry.
Now, I will say he's getting a $35 million check by Sunday. Monday at the very latest. So here's a little something for your effort, just so you know. Which is like half the money he's going to earn in these next 2 years. He gets it by Monday.
I think his career earnings are around $305 million. So don't feel too sorry for Aaron about giving back some money to the team. But I am with you, David. Packer fan, how are you feeling right now?
Jordan Love and a $40 million cap hit for Aaron Rodgers. Go. And he's happy as a clam. He's been miserable the last couple of years.
Oh, happy, joy. I mean, he is
right.
Everything is warm. Everything is sunny. It's perfect in his world. He's the best teammate. He's put on that medallion that Sauce Gardner bought him that's just awful that he'll never wear again, and he did it with a smile on his face.
Right. Says, I'm having a ball.
Miller and Moulton, the starting 5 is coming next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Worth.
Ladies and gentlemen, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. What are you doing over there? You're not supposed to be eating your coffee.
I was using the little straw to stir it, and I dropped it. Now it's like barely sticking out of the surface, and I'm trying to like pinch it and grab it.
Gotcha. You're a wreck today, Felipe.
I've been a wreck this whole week.
Yeah, what's going on?
He is a wreck. He didn't shower this morning. The hair is just disheveled. He looks like he's ready to fall asleep.
Yesterday, I asked my coworker if I could borrow his umbrella to grab my raincoat. And as I was outside using his umbrella to go to my car and grab my raincoat, the rain it intensified to its highest degree, and I felt like I was about to break his umbrella, and I was like in 3 inches of water, and I went back inside, and my legs were wet and cold, and then I came back outside to leave, and it was not raining, and then I came home, and then I broke my USB. A very valuable USB with a lot of City of Palm stuff for Miller and Moulton, and I had old projects on it for school. And I'm dealing with moving out stuff. So juggling a lot of things in my life right now, and it sucks.
Can you get that info back?
Yeah. I mean, piece by piece, but
okay.
Some of it's gone forever.
So did you walk outside at the moment of that 68-mile-an-hour wind gust?
Yes.
That hit Page Field?
Yes, that exact wind gust hit me.
Well, yeah, because the station's like a mile from Page Field.
Yes, I got hit by that wind gust.
Wow.
I was screaming.
Got told to lose my attitude from a doctor yesterday after I gave her shit. Looked at her, I said, my attitude hasn't even begun yet.
Is this the sleep clinic?
Yep. And I'll be going back there either tomorrow or today or tomorrow because she told me I was wrong about something, and I'm going to walk in with all the equipment because she gave me another piece. I'm going to say, you put this together. You show me. You said these are all universal, and you yelled at me about it. Show me how this goes together, because it doesn't. Then I might tell her to shove it up her ass.
Look at the lady at the front desk and go, no. I'll pay the visit fee to bring her out here and have her put it together. Yep.
Oh, they were laughing when I came in. I said, no, it's just you guys brought me, come back in 6 months so I can pay you guys more money for nothing. That's funny because I don't find this funny. They thought I was just happy, joy, joking around, and I was serious as a heart attack.
Ambient, I know you're feeling it. The Avs won the cup in 22 and the Nuggets won the title in 23. So you're thinking this is just, this is your time, all your teams and all that. Colorado's not going to a bowl this year. And Colorado will not finish in the top 5 of the Big 12 next year.
Top 5 would be up close.
It's impossible, the new Big 12 and all. It's possible, but I say no. No, Canada relief, that's my goal.
What is?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Frank Garcia played for the Carolina Panthers, broadcasts in Charlotte. He's our go-to when it concerns the Panthers. They're turning to Bryce Young right out of the chute. We'll just talk to Frank. An hour from now, we'll catch up. Matt Murschel in top of the 8 o'clock hour. How does Colorado leaving for the Big 12 affect UCF? And apparently more teams on the way. And 2 hours from now, all right, we'll talk what should Florida State do? And also some ACC media days, which are wrapping up. Jeff Cameron covers the Seminoles. He'll join us 2 hours from now. Right now, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
You know, this week was supposed to be dominated by Big Ten and ACC media days. You know, a bunch of fake fluff stuff. Instead, big news is out of the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Colorado will reportedly vote late this afternoon to leave the Pac-12 for the Big 12 and reportedly get a full TV share immediately in 2024 of nearly $32 million. Remember, Colorado was in the Big 8 and they were in the Big 12 before they left for the Pac-12 for 2011. Oregon, by the way, called an emergency board meeting for 4 hours before Colorado's meeting. This is after Tony Petitti of the Big Ten and Greg Sankey of the SEC have both said in the last week, we have no interest in expanding. 16 works for us. Well, we'll see. Remember, none of the Pac-12 schools had any intention of leaving until they leave. Just like coaches. I have no intention of leaving. We'd like to introduce our new head coach at USC, Lincoln Riley. NFL news, Aaron Rodgers took a $35 million pay cut over the next 2 years while reworking his contract with the Jets. He'll make $75 million instead of $110 million over the next 2 years. They added a couple dummy years to his contract. They did that so they could spread out the signing bonus they gave him of $35 million. So for this year, against the cap, Aaron Rodgers is going to count just $8.8 million. His salary is $1.8 million. Think about it. He's going to make $100,000 a week. And he's getting a $35 million check by Monday. That's what he's making this year. You divide the $35 million by 5 because they added the dummy years to his contract. So it's $7 million a year bonus on the cap plus $1.8 million. That's how you get the $8.8 million. Next year, however, don't have a ton of wiggle room. $38.2 million salary plus the $7 million prorated bonus. So he's going to count about $45 million against the cap next year, unless they rework it again. By the way, Aaron Rodgers is going to count $40.3 million on the Packers cap this year. Bears paid Cole Kmet yesterday. Gave the tight end 4 years, $50 million. I like Cole Kmet. All right, they started to use him a little bit last year. Justin Fields needs all the weapons he can get. I like this move. It's a little rich.
It's a little rich for the position, and I think if I'm not against paying a guy at a position that everybody else maybe not pay a guy at. If you think you've got the guy, keep him.
Well, remember, Ingram just got 14 with the Jags, so Kmet's getting 12.5. But here's the other thing. The Bears aren't even at the floor yet. Bears still have to spend another 15, 18 million just to get to the floor. So I think Cole Kmet was also in the right place at the right time here. Major League Baseball, Mark. He finally showed up. Haven't seen this guy much this year. Sandy Alcantara, best pitcher in baseball last year. Yeah, that guy was at the Trop yesterday for a mighty nooner. 96 pitches, 5-hitter, 7-1 Marlins over the Rays. Zach Eflin, by the way, not only gave up 5 runs in 4 innings, he left hurt. Yeah. Rays injuries are really piling up. Rays reportedly one of the finalists for Lance Lynn of the White Sox. Speaking of the White Sox, they made a major deal right before the show. The Angels took Ohtani off the market and then acquired Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, 2 pitchers from the White Sox. They gave up 2 really good prospects, a catcher and a left-handed pitcher who are both in Double-A to do it. So the Angels are all in to make the playoffs for just the second time with Trout and the first time with Ohtani, and not only that, to show them, hey, we can win here. You don't want to leave. Marlins and Twins, by the way, swapped relievers, righty relievers. Marlins get 30-year-old Jorge Lopez, who was an all-star last year with Baltimore. Minnesota gets 32-year-old Dylan Floro. So there. Rest of Major League Baseball. Phillies beat the Orioles with 2 in the 7th, 6-4. Took 2 or 3 in the series. That's good news for the Rays, so they stay a game and a half back. Toronto, meanwhile, took 2 or 3 for the Dodgers. They beat them 8-1. They remain the 6th seed in the American League, a game and a half ahead of the Red Sox for the final playoff spot. Boston beat Atlanta, taking 2 out of 3. 5-3 the final. Red Sox with 3 in the 7th. They hit 3 homers. Yankees, 2.5 behind the Jays. Carlos Rodon, his first win as a Yankee. Gave up 1 run in 5 2/3. 3-1 Yankees over the Mets. Brewers stay in first place. They shut out the Reds 3-0. Reds remain the 6th seed, however. And they're just a game and a half back of Milwaukee. Texas showed Houston for one night. We're still the boss in the AL West. They scored 7 in the 5th. They hit 4 homers. They beat the Astros 13-5. Their lead is 2 in the West. Cubs, Mark, are on a roll. They beat the White Sox 10-7 after scoring 6 in the 5th. They're a game under 500. They're 6 back in the Central, 4.5 back in the wild card. They keep winning.
And they were supposed to be a seller. Everybody was looking at them for parts, and they have parts. But I don't know how they can sell right now, David. I don't.
The only thing I'll say is if you're winning, okay, you can say to the other teams, listen, you got to overpay for Marcus Stroman and Bellinger and what have you. I mean, we're going to get roasted for trading these guys. So a year or 2 from now, I need to have a young guy who's on the field that everybody goes, oh, okay, now we know why you made the deal. Seattle, Dylan Moore, 2 homers. They beat the Twins 8-7. Seattle's 4.5 out of the wild card. Twins had a 4-game lead 2 days ago. Now it's cut to 2. Cleveland beat KC 8-3. Cardinals hit 5 homers, beat Arizona, the slumping Diamondbacks 11-7. It also marked as likely Jack Flaherty's last start as a Cardinal. He was a bit emotional afterwards, realizing that likely to get traded by the trade deadline. He's also a free agent at the end of the year, and the Cardinals have shown no interest in keeping him. Giants are the 4 seed. Thank you very much. They beat Oakland 8-3. They're 3 back of the Dodgers. Nats scored 4 in the 9th to beat Colorado 5-4. And the Padres, they got to sell.
They have to sell. Just what a disappointment. What a horribly disappointing year for the Padres.
And it's their offense. Tatis and Machado and Soto. They can't score any runs. They lost to the Pirates yesterday 3-2. Pittsburgh hit 3 solo homers. By the way, the Dodgers, the day after reacquiring Kiki Hernandez from the Red Sox, acquired Ahmed Rosario from the Guardians for Noah Syndergaard. That's how desperate Cleveland is for starting pitching right now because they got 3 starters on the IL. They traded for Noah Syndergaard, whose ERA looks like a bad area code, and who's pitching in AAA. Yikes. NIL, 2 more congressional bills, okay, were introduced yesterday, but here's what you need to pay attention to. Remember that group of 7 collectives last week? They call themselves the TCA. See, we got the PIF in golf. We got the TCA when it comes to the collectives in college. All right. The TCA, it was reported last week, made separate presentations, one to the SEC and one to the NCAA, in which they said this needs to be the model that you use for NIL. And the model involves revenue sharing of TV money with the athletes.
Excuse me?
Yes. And there are a lot of people that believe this is actually the solution, that you need to cut through all this garbage and the restrictions and the limitations. And what the SEC and the other conferences need to do is they need to take some of their TV money, give it directly to the schools, only one main collective, and go, here you go. Here's your NIL money. Good luck. Because then in theory, what are you doing, Mark? Everybody will get the same amount.
Right. You're creating a salary cap.
Kind of revenue sharing anyway. The NFL hands out 32 equal shares. Anyway, that's their pitch. And by the way, the courts would support this. All this stuff that's through Congress, the courts would reject various parts of all these bills. NFL yesterday, Giants tackle Andrew Thomas signed for 5 years, $23.5 million a year. And Texans tackle Titus Howard signed 3-year extension for a little under $19 million a year. So Tunsil and Howard both blocking for C.J. Stroud for the foreseeable future. That's not bad. Mark J. Monahan sighting yesterday. The PGA Tour commissioner, remember him? He's notified the RNA and the USGA that, we're not going to support this whole rollback golf ball that you want to introduce in 2026, which means the ball won't go as far. I mean, if you guys want to do it for the Open Championship and the U.S. Open, that's fine, but we ain't going to support this. So we'll see how that plays out. This isn't supposed to happen until 2026, though. Patrice Bergeron officially retired yesterday, Mark. What a great player.
Terrific player.
19 years in Boston. Number 37 will go to the rafters as soon as possible. Over 1,000 points, 427 goals. Just a great two-way player. Won the Selke Award 6 times. Came back for this one last year and led him to the best regular season ever. Got hurt right before the playoffs. Led him to 3 Stanley Cup finals and danced with Lord Stanley once. Patrice Bergeron at 38 said, I just can't do it anymore. Actually, he said, I can do it. It's a lot of work. I don't want to do the work anymore. Women's World Cup yesterday. U.S. dominated the Netherlands. Shots on goal were 18-5. Corner kicks were 11-1. Yet the U.S. needed a header from Lindsey Horan in the 62nd minute to escape with a 1-1 draw against the Netherlands yesterday. Next up for the U.S., Tuesday, bright and early, 3 a.m. against Portugal. And by the way, supposedly it's going to be on Fox at 3 a.m. in the States, midnight out west. And Aaron Rodgers is giving back money. Not as much money as Mbappe walked away from yesterday. He wouldn't even meet with the Saudi team that wanted to give him $776 million. He said, no, I want to go to Real Madrid and make $600 million less. That's what I want to do. I'm not even interested in talking to you guys.
Walked away from the Powerball.
Right.
For all of us.
That's not a 5-year deal, by the way. That was a 1 year. He could have made that money and then played the very next year for Real Madrid for another $176 million. Right. So Rodgers gave back 35, but Mbappe essentially gave back 600. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Hey, we got the website up and working, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
Dr. Roto's Fantasy Football Summit, brought to you by the law office of Michael F. Hornon. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up now. August 15th, 7 p.m. It's a Tuesday. Dr. Roto in the house.
And this is limited seating. Okay, this is an intimate room. Capacity is around 50. So that's it. But all 50 of you can win your fantasy football league. Huh?
There you have it. Win your league. Win your leagues.
So at the beginning of the month, we were giving people money off if they went to the Diamond District. And now here we are, we're setting up a fantasy football summit so you can win money in your fantasy football league. Don't tell us Miller and Moulton don't do anything for you.
Just like Aaron Rodgers, we give back.
And we don't have it to give back either. So yeah, we're better than those guys.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see the clip with Votto and Mad Dog Russo?
I didn't. I mean, I saw that on Twitter, but I didn't watch it.
You got it. It's less than a minute. You'll laugh your ass off. I will say this. Everybody who covers baseball says Joey Votto's a surefire Hall of Famer. He's not to me. Okay. He's a retire his number guy at Cincinnati to me, but I'll tell you what, you got to put him in a booth.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my goodness. He's amazing. His personality. It is a tongue-in-cheek takedown of Mad Dog Russo, which is so good. Russo's laughing and applauding him. With a little bit of, it's kind of like you at the office yesterday. It is a tongue-in-cheek takedown. There's a little bit of truth into what he's saying. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. I'm there 1 to 5:30. So my daughter's wedding rehearsal venue canceled on them yesterday. It's no big deal or anything. It's only like 5 weeks out. You want to go back to realignment?
Sure. Did you see the PGA Tour, or there's another bill introduced to end the 501?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of July. Thanks for waking up with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Frank Garcia, who covers the Carolina Panthers. We're just trying to check in with every team once before the start of the season. Obviously, we'll focus on the Bucs and the Dolphins and the Jags, and we'll check on them multiple times. But, Panthers in the same division as the Bucs. We're just, bouncing a few things around. Frank Garcia, longtime friend of the show. He'll join us in about 35 minutes. Big story in sports. Either it's Aaron Rodgers taking a $35 million pay cut, or it's Colorado beginning the next round of conference realignment. Reportedly, late this afternoon, 3 o'clock Mountain Time, they're going to meet, and they're leaving. And they're guaranteed $31.7 million a year immediately when they join the Big 12 in 2024. So that means next year, Oklahoma and Texas leave for the SEC. USC, UCLA leave for the Big 10. Colorado leaves for the Big 12. But many people think once the Colorado domino falls, all heck is going to break loose with the Pac-12. And Mark, we raised the question at the top of the show. Right now, today, do you believe the Big Ten and the SEC commissioners, who have both said in the last 8 days, we're not interested in going beyond 16? Do you believe them?
I believe the SEC more than I believe the Big Ten. Because deep down, when they accepted USC and UCLA you have to think conversations were had then about bringing in more West Coast schools.
Reportedly, Washington and Oregon have already filled out the paperwork and have been vetted, if you know what I mean. Now, Tony Petitti's been on the job like 2 months. I don't know how much he's looked over the paperwork and what have you. He had to literally get the I's dotted and T's crossed on the TV deal because a few of the networks were unhappy with how the game, and few of the teams were unhappy with the night games and what have you. So he had to get that done. Now he's got USC and UCLA coming in. All right. And he even said that yesterday. He's like, can I just get USC and UCLA in the conference? But Mark, both conferences have released their schedules. I mean, the Big Ten for 24 and 25.
Right.
And I believe the SEC for 24?
Just for 24.
Right. Because they don't know if they're going to go to 9 conference games beginning in 25. Right now, they're sticking with 8.
That's correct.
Okay. So you believe the SEC more than the Big Ten, but you would have to agree that, the Big Ten would have to move mountains to bring somebody else into the conference before 26. Correct?
100%. But I think deep down that I think USC and UCLA are going to be pestering the Big Ten going, come on. Which ones you taking? You told us you were looking at these schools. Let's go. Okay. I don't know if they'll listen because they're the newest members and they don't have the history to do things like that. But I just always have believed deep down that USC and UCLA were the start of more. And that the Big Ten will end up somewhere closer to 20 when it's all said and done.
Okay. And let's just say you're right. Which then brings us to, if the Big 12 and Big 10 are going to go, pardon the pun, bigger, and maybe even get to 20-ish in terms of the number of teams, literally can almost have a Big 10 1 and a Big 10 2. A Big 12 1 and a Big 12 2. Where do you want to add your teams? Mark, I'll make you the Big 10 commissioner. Oregon, Washington, Virginia, North Carolina. You can only add 2. You're only going to 18. The rest of the conference says to you, we ain't going to 20. We can go to 18. You pick, West or East.
I hate being put in this position because I don't want more teams in these conferences.
I know that. You don't even want USC and UCLA. I
don't want Rutgers in Maryland.
That's been done though. That really is.
Well,
the cement is dried and hardened and cracked and everything. We've written, JK loves TS in the top left-hand corner of the sidewalk already. It's done.
JK loves TS. Huh?
I don't know. Just picking initials.
4 initials that came out first. It's really good you didn't put DM anywhere.
Exactly.
On
right.
It got you in a lot of trouble.
I didn't pick MM or DM. Okay.
Right.
I didn't even pick FA for Felipe. I left us all out of that.
That is such a great question because I don't really know. I would
gut feeling. Oregon,
my
Washington
gut tells me they'd go Oregon, Washington.
Interesting, because obviously they're not in Virginia, they're not in North Carolina, and you could argue USC and UCLA. That's pretty good going west,
right? But I think ultimately they would want more west for USC and UCLA.
Let me ask you this: is Washington, Oregon enough? Seriously, it's kind of like the two of us are having dinner, or it's you and your wife, and you decide to have me and my wife join you. Is that enough? Is that enough for a really good night, or is it kind of like, yeah, we need like 2 more couples here, and, we need to make this a thing, Moulton.
No, I know exactly what you're saying.
But
I know what you're saying, because then that leaves you with maybe Cal and Stanford, because I'm sorry, Oregon State and Washington State do nothing for anyone.
No, there's no doubt about it. In fact, I would think that Oregon State and or Washington State is very quickly going to be picking up the phone and calling the Big 12 and saying, hey, do you need us? Do you need to even out the numbers? Do you need us? We'll do it.
And if they don't, then they could be in the Mountain West when the Pac-12 dissolves.
Well, absolutely. And I think the Mountain West is just sitting there and that they're sending feelers out already going, we'll be here if you need us. We'd be proud to take you. So that's the first thing. If you're the Big Ten, and if you're going to add 2 more, because the dominoes start falling, do you want to add 2 from the ACC? And those 2 would be Carolina and Virginia. Or you add in Oregon and Washington. Now, if you're the Big 12 and you're going to expand, Oklahoma and Texas are leaving, Colorado's joining. You're at 13 right now. Well, you got to add 1 more. And if Colorado's leaving, the word's always been the 2 Arizonas and Utah are right behind them. So that's 16. You stopping there? I mean, Mark, let me ask you this. If you're the Big 12, could you call up Oregon and Washington and say it's a one-time only offer?
Oh, I think if you're the Big 12, you have to do that. Put them in the position to say no to you. I would not sit there and wait for Oregon and Washington to leave. As you pointed out, David, you've got 2 years with the Big Ten. Their schedule's set. I think they can rip up a schedule and start over tomorrow. I don't think that's as big of a deal as maybe others do. But if I were the Big 12, I think, getting Colorado's being proactive. They've been very proactive. Their conference looked as if it was on life support a year ago.
Or if you're the Big 12, do you go, listen, we can get those Pac-12 schools. That's not a problem. But do we want to go east? Call up Florida State and Clemson. They were talking about an insurrection a month or so ago. Them and NC State and Georgia Tech and Va-Tech and Miami and Louisville, they were all going to get up and they were going to leave. They were going to shred the ACC. That conference was literally going to go away. And for that matter, UConn's an independent. They need a conference for football because they still want to keep playing that sport for whatever reason. They should drop it and just become Villanova of the Northeast, but that's a whole other story. And I got to admit, I don't want to go any further west than Denver. And let the Mountain West be as great as it can get. But I'd rather go east. I mean, really? The 2 Arizona schools in Utah when I can get Florida State, Miami, and Clemson? Are you serious? I mean,
here's the other side of that. And I know we'll talk about this more coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. If you're right, David, and the Big 12 goes to the ACC, think about what UCF will have accomplished in such a short time. Because then there'll be 3 super conferences. And they went from the AAC to one of the super conferences literally overnight.
Well, I mean, I can get bat blank crazy here, and I can expand the Big 12 to 24, and I could take them both, and I could split the conference in half. I mean, first off, think of the eastern half of this conference. Florida State, Miami, Clemson, NC State, Georgia Tech, Va-Tech, Louisville, UCF, Cincinnati. There's 9 right there. Do I want to include some Texas schools and call it if we throw UConn in, there's 10. I can just pick 2 others. I can pick Houston and TCU. There we go. We're done. Thank you. That's our division. It's interesting.
And you could leave it right at 9. 9 each side. You play everybody on your one side. You play 1 crossover game. You have a championship game. Hell, you play 8 conference games and you have everybody cross over at the end of the year once.
So I know that's expanding the story that's out there right now. Colorado has a 3 o'clock Mountain Time meeting to vote to officially leave. Apparently, by the way, you know what it takes to join the Big 12? An email. Now, send an email and say, hey, we want in. And apparently, if they respond with a thumbs up, the deal's done. Apparently, staying or leaving the Mountain West is a whole process. Apparently, all I have to do is send an email to Big 12. You get an answer right away.
Because all the presidents apparently have voted Colorado in. This is a done deal.
Yeah, full share and everything immediately. We'll talk to Matt Murschel in 45 minutes. How does this affect UCF? And financially, if Colorado's getting a full share right away, I don't think UCF is. How's that going to go over? Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. So, you have your headsets on. So, yeah, yesterday, Senate's Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden introduced a bill that would modify the 501c6 designation to exclude sports organizations with assets exceeding $500 million, basically taking away the tax-exempt status of the PGA Tour. I don't know if it would affect bowl games because I don't know if they have those type of assets. The Sugar Bowl would be close.
Wait. Oh, you mean about the bowl games?
Yeah, I think because it says with assets exceeding $500 million, I don't think any of the bowl games have assets exceeding that number. Jim Irsay does a great job of pissing off people that work for him.
Oh, he seems like a charmer.
Really does.
By the way, outside of retiring his jersey, have you seen Peyton Manning involved with the Indianapolis Colts franchise at all?
Nope.
Anybody?
We got a kind of funny text.
Paul, I think so. Okay. I mean, I think Dion brought it up in discussions, though, during the job interview about the future, where we're going. But, I mean, this has been out there for a couple of years. The Big 12 made its deal with Fox and ESPN 18 months ago. The Pac-12's had a year to show its members a TV deal. I mean, I think it's as simple, Paul, as when the commissioner of the Pac-12 last week didn't deliver a TV deal to his members. They said, some of them said, well, we're out of here. Funny text. Mark?
What's that?
What's going on?
I don't know. Philly's on the phone with somebody.
Okay. So funny text, your golf tidbit play of the day?
Sure.
Okay. And we'll plug the fantasy event.
Yes. Everything all right, Philly?
Yeah. Just a strange thing happening over in Tampa where they're getting the first 10 seconds of our local ads and then their ads fire. So he just told me to tell Tig. He'll talk to his engineer. He doesn't know where the problem's coming from, but we're still on in Tampa, so that's all that matters. You know, it's crazy to think about. Justin Herbert and Tyrese Halliburton make as much money as each other. Do you know who Tyrese Halliburton is?
Yes.
Oh, damn. I'm surprised.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Frank Garcia to talk a little Carolina Panthers coming up in less than 20 minutes time. Matt Murschel at the top of the hour. How does Colorado's impending move back to the Big 12 impact UCF? Especially if the Big 12 is going to go from 12 to 13 to maybe 16, 18. Who knows how big it could get? Talk to Matt Murschel about that. Jeff Cameron, a little over an hour from now. Florida State getting talked up. They were the toast of ACC Media Days, baby. Jeff Cameron covers the Noles, does a show in Tallahassee. He'll join us a little more than an hour. And could this conference realignment go all the way to the ACC? We'll talk to him about that as well.
Yeah, when's the last time Clemson's not been the darling of the ACC? This is
let's see. Florida State won the national title in 2013. So the very next year, they brought most of the team back. So you probably got to go back 2015-ish, 2016. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A reminder that just around the corner is our Fantasy Football Summit. It's Tuesday, August 15th, 7 p.m. at the Crown Plaza in Fort Myers, the Bell Tower Crown Plaza in Fort Myers. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. It's $50. It includes dinner and a night with Dr. Roto answering all of your fantasy football questions. It's our second annual, our third overall. That's how we roll. Sometimes even the doctor takes a hiatus.
Or we did. One or the other. Since it's our third act after all. So floridasportsnetwork.com, sign up. And seating is limited to 50. We don't know if we can expand it beyond that. So make sure you get in. A few of you Didn't sign up in time last year. We know you wanted to this year. So floridasportsnetwork.com and go to it.
David, you've been big in covering the NIL bills, and there's 3 that are being introduced right now, and they're going to figure out whatever the hell it is they're going to do in Congress with NIL, if anything at all.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad you threw that caveat because you know what's going to amount to all this. Zip,
A whole lot
zilch,
of
not a
nothing.
bubkiss, right?
But another bill was introduced yesterday that could affect the PGA Tour. Ron Wyden, who's a Democrat from Oregon, and he is the Senate Finance Committee chairman, introduced a federal bill that would modify the 501c6 designation in the tax code to exclude sports organizations with assets exceeding $500 million. It is aimed directly at the PGA Tour, who currently holds over $3 billion in gross assets. And we know that because they had a Senate hearing where they gave that information up. Now, I was a little stunned in this whole PIF PGA merger when you, and I guess I knew it, you just don't pay attention. The fact that the PGA Tour is still designated tax-exempt status.
Yeah, what are they technically a not-for-profit?
Correct.
Right. Yet somehow, some way, they have all this money.
Baseball and football both had this. The NFL switched for a for-profit structure in 2015. Baseball did it in 2007. The PGA Tour is the largest sports organization by far to maintain the 501c6 designation. Little something to pay attention to see if this whole PIF merger would cause them to lose their not-for-profit status, which I think they should.
I think most people would think they should, no matter what side of the aisle you support there. I mean, you know, you make that kind of revenue. I mean, rest of us make far less, you know, never mind all the businesses that generate far less. And come on, it seems right. Seems like you could figure out a way to actually do this and pay a few shekels, don't you think?
So just caught that, something I thought we should pay attention to a little bit and see if the PGA Tour can hold on to this status. We'll see. But the Senate's Finance Committee carries a little more weight than the average senator trying to propose a bill.
If the NFL and Major League Baseball had not switched, I'd like the PGA Tour's chances here. I do think that the current political climate in our country, I think the PGA Tour may be in a tough spot here. This is, you know, they're going to talk about all the money that goes to charity and what have you, but then we could really drill down on how they've set that system up. You know, is that money coming from the PGA Tour, or is the PGA Tour leaning on cities and sponsors in which they are the ones actually donating the money, but the tour is taking credit for it? I mean, that's the other thing that could happen here. You know, the PGA Tour, all the money they've raised for charity. There are some out there that are like, money's not exactly coming directly from you. It's coming indirectly through you. But you're claiming all of it.
Text line is open at 21,000. Your thoughts on that or anything else we've discussed on the show? Like this text we received, David, I thought was kind of fun. You give these magic numbers out every day.
30, 35, 42 are the magic numbers today, Mark.
And this texter says, I think you're slighting the listeners by not including 10 days till the start of the EPL in your magic numbers.
Okay. Listen, we were going to add another number, and we did for 2 days. It's the number of days until kids go back to school in Florida, for how many parents are pulling their hair out and can't wait.
Apparently not just parents. Last night at the dinner table, the daughter literally said, how many days till I start school? And I looked her dead in the eye and went 10.
It's 2 weeks, though, isn't it?
14 or whatever. I was like, it can't come soon enough. And she looked at me with the same look. My wife just sat there.
Fortunately, she's been working during the day a good chunk of summer. She hasn't had to contend with the two of you in this stare down.
I mean, we're at the point now where we don't even like playing the same board games together. I don't want to play that game. I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. Taught my daughter Risk. That's all she wants to play. It's way too long to play every day.
I was going to say, you can start that game in June and end it right before school starts. Felipe's got that look on his face right now, too. Like he doesn't want to play a board game with us anymore. You know,
I don't even know if he wants to do the play of the day.
Don't even know what it is.
I mean, you know, there's things worth celebrating here.
Like
the fact that before yesterday, the Marlins had lost 8 of their last 9 games. And with their ace and their former Cy Young winner, Sandy Alcantara, on the mound, he had a complete game.
Into center, Myers makes the catch. It's a Marlins win. Sandy Alcantara, his 11th career complete game.
Marlins get vengeance in the Battle of the Fish. They win 7-1. Much-needed win for the Marlins. And I still, to this day, don't understand why they pronounce it Alcantara when it is spelled Alcantara.
Do you think maybe they asked him, how do you pronounce your name? And he said Alcantara? Do you think?
I'm dying to find out because it's not how you say it. It's
Alcantara. Well, no, it's not how it looks. It could be how you say it. I am surprised, by the way. I know you're a Miami homer, and I appreciate that. I do. Okay. I thought you were going to go U.S. in the Women's World Cup with the tying goal. It was actually a hell of a goal.
A little pushing and shoving. Before that, she got a little angry. The gal that scored the goal got taken down hard.
Yeah.
Hard.
Absolutely. Lindsey Horan.
I mean, that was a hard takedown.
Mm-hmm.
She got up, threw a little push at the gal.
Right. Uh-huh. Like it. Little sass.
It was spirited.
Yeah.
Draw against the Netherlands.
Yeah, we dominated, though. For goodness sakes. It can happen in soccer. That happens. It's like in hockey. You can dominate a hockey game and have it be 1-1.
Hell, they beat us on the men's side, too.
They're better than us on the men's side.
Most countries are. Not till 2026, though. That's where we get our revenge. Frank Garcia is next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday, David, but I got my Swarm beer. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday, but I got my Swarm beer sent to me.
Yes. Oh, I retweeted it, and I sent a picture of it to Severson. Big Iowa guy that he is.
That'll be my first drink when I have a drink again.
By the way, who was it who asked? The Panthers announced yesterday Bryce Young's going to start week 1, Canada relief. I mean, if he doesn't look lost in practice and what have you, I'd start him. Blank piece of paper and a pen. I'm all over him.
Frank's on hold.
Without any notes, without looking down.
Yep.
That's strong.
That's talent.
Who is the name that?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 5 weeks today, the college football season gets underway in earnest the Thursday before Labor Day weekend. It is 6 weeks tonight. It's the Lions and the Chiefs to get the NFL season going. Frank Garcia played many years in the league, most of them with the Carolina Panthers. He lives in Charlotte. He covers the Panthers. Follow Frank on Twitter, Frank Garcia 65. Frank Garcia, 65. Frank, it's David and Mark once again. Hope you and the family are well. I like seeing the golf pictures on Twitter there with your young son. How are you?
We're doing great. Just trying to stay cool out here in this humidity, but playing a little golf and getting ready for the season.
All right. Well, the season is getting ready, and Bryce Young is the guy. What have you seen? What can we expect? I mean, he's named the starter. This is going to be a tough thing for a rookie to come in, but what should the expectations be for Bryce Young?
I think the expectations to be as they are for, a lot of the other first-time starters in this league is it's going to be a learning curve and there's going to be some mistakes. But I think the one thing that really stands out with him right away is his leadership qualities and his accuracy in practice up to this point. So, the things that you look forward to him is, going out there and, getting this team behind him, growing each and every week and being better at the end of the season than he is at the beginning of the season. And I think that's the expectations that I have for him coming in as a quarterback. It's going to take some time. There's going to be a learning curve. He's going to see a lot more defenses and complexities that he's not seen before in college, and he's going to have to learn how to handle that and grow and learn how to watch film, learn how to study the game.
When you played for Carolina, you went through this with Kerry Collins. Now, granted, it was your guy's first year as a franchise, but, Kerry got thrown in onto a team that turned out to be pretty darn good, pretty darn quickly. But, when does Bryce Young win over the huddle, if you know what I mean? Like, do you remember the moment in which because you guys were a veteran team, even though you were an expansion franchise, when was it that you guys looked around and said, yeah, okay, he's our guy?
Well, I think that I can remember the game. I think that Bill Polian and Tom Capers knew that Kerry was going to have to do a little bit more than what we had normally used to doing, and that was against the San Francisco 49ers late in the season. Having a young quarterback, you have to surround him with a good offensive line, a great defense, and a running game. Those are going to be his best friends, where he doesn't have to go out there and win the game initially. But eventually, when you're playing better teams and you want to compete against the upper echelon teams, you're going to need your quarterback to step up to make plays. And, Kerry was able to do that against the San Francisco 49ers, where I think he threw for, back then, which was a lot of yards, about 320 yards in the game and a couple of touchdowns. And Bryce Young, he's used to having that success, and he's used to winning games, and he's going to have to do that at some point to find out where he is at in his maturity and in that process of growing as a team. So I'm not sure exactly when that game is going to be for Bryce Young, but we're going to see that initially. I think Frank Reich, who I played with, is a guy that's very aware of the growth and the maturity process and the maturation that it's going to take to develop and the patience it's going to take to develop Bryce Young. But I think there's going to be a point in the season where he's going to have to be asked to step up to do a little bit more if they want to grow as a team.
You mentioned having a good offensive line. Frank, what do you think about this offensive line? Most of the things that the rankings that I'm not trying to say that I'm an expert, but the things I read have this to be an average offensive line. Would you say that's accurate, or can they be better than that?
I think they can be better than that. I think that they were young last year. It's really kind of their first year all together playing as a unit. I think they have a lot of talent at the left tackle position. He's a young player. Brady Christensen's moving into the left guard, which I think is going to be a better fit for him. And his arm length is one of the things that they've, talked about. Being at that tackle position, he doesn't really have the prototypical left tackle arm length, but he is built like a left guard, and that's not even, maybe even a center. But a guy named like Bradley Bozeman stepping in, I think he had a great year last year, and he's going to be the anchor of that offensive line. And they're just going to have to grow and learn. Taylor Moulton is a road grader at the right tackle, and then Austin Corbett at that right guard is athletic. He's physical, and that's five pretty decent guys. They just have to, depending on how they play as a unit, is really going to kind of be the telltale of this offense. And what they're able to do in order to support Bryce Young.
He's Frank Garcia. He played for the Panthers. He covers the Panthers, and you can follow him on Twitter at Frank Garcia 65. Frank Garcia 65. Listen, they had that showdown game late in the season in Tampa. They win it. They're probably winning the division, going to the playoffs. Is this, it's a weak division. We'll all acknowledge that. All right. But is this team capable of winning it?
Of winning the division? Absolutely. You look at where they're at last year, and as you mentioned, the division and where it stands this year, there's not really, that one team that's standing out. I mean, when Tom Brady was with the Bucs, everybody felt like they were the favorite because of Tom Brady, but he's no longer there. So I think it's a wide open division. I think anybody can win it. And it's going to come down to, I think, the defense is playing the best, and the team that doesn't make the team that makes the least amount of mistakes in some of those critical games. And, I think momentum and, execution are going to be the two things that really kind of, stand out for the team that's going to carry the torch. But I think the Panthers absolutely could, especially with their defense and, what they've been able to add, on that side. If they stay healthy, I think they have a pretty good shot of winning the division.
Well, there's no doubt that defense was good last year. It's going to have to carry him the first half of the season this year as Bryce gets ready. And when you look at now Miles Sanders added, how do you see this offense? Is it going to be Miles Sanders first? They've got they've got a nice set of receivers. They obviously gave up a great one to get the number one pick, but Miles Sanders is going to be a big part of this offense, right?
Yeah, I think he is. And I think that, knowing Frank, he's going to be a team that wants to run the ball between the tackles. And I think it's going to be a tandem initially with Chuba Hubbard, in there, and then Miles Sanders, with that 1-2, you're going to have the quick speed burst, and then you're going to have that kind of workhorse that's coming downhill, with this, Dante Foreman last year, I thought gave him a great 1-2 punch and was able to get some physical yards. And Sanders is not that type of running back, but he's going to be able to be a guy that's not quite Christian McCaffrey, but he's a slasher. He can get out of the backfield in space and make guys miss. Get the ball to him quick and early, and see what he can do. And Hayden Hurst, the addition of him at tight end, can stretch the middle of that field to open up those underneath routes for those option routes that running back can create out of the backfield. So, I think that's kind of the plan for this offense. Run the ball, stay close to the vest initially, and then open it up with big plays downfield.
Carolina opens with a couple division games at Atlanta, and then they get a home Monday night game, part of a Monday night doubleheader. They get New Orleans. So that'll be Bryce Young and company on national television in his first home game. Final question for me, Frank. Do you agree with the decision to throw Bryce in right away? Obviously, Andy Dalton is technically a better quarterback today than Bryce Young is, but do you agree with that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that Frank has seen in him, obviously, to give him the comfortability that he's going to be ready. He's been at Alabama for several years now, and they're used to winning. So he's had good coaching, under Nick Saban. He's understood the game. He's also had pretty much the best players when he's been at Alabama. So just the speed of the game is going to be a little bit different. Those types of things, but you learn one thing by watching, you learn two things by doing, and I think that Frank is going to throw him into the fire and want him to do so they can hit the ground running.
Frank, thanks so much for your time. All right, all the best to you, your family. Hopefully, we can catch up early in the season.
You got it. Anytime, guys. Take care and stay cool.
Frank Garcia. Follow him on Twitter, Frank Garcia 65. That was his number when he played, Frank Garcia 65.
I would never want to debate Frank on staying cool or staying warm, and I know it's warm in the Carolinas, but the whole country's dealing with heat.
Yeah.
And it's hot. I'm not taking that away, but I do have to kind of giggle when you spend the summer in Florida.
Right.
And other people are complaining about the heat.
Well, they're concerned about it, okay? And, right, we're going, we deal with this all the time.
Every summer.
Now, I will say, it does seem a tick hotter this year.
No, David, my pool's 92 degrees. It's hot.
Right. I mean, it does seem a little warmer this year. Even people in Florida in the last 3-4 weeks have gone, man, is it hot out there?
Well, apparently the water in Key Largo is 102 degrees.
Yes.
So you tell me.
It's warm.
It does seem a little warmer.
I didn't know it got to 102, but I know it was over 100 yesterday. We had just put it up there earlier in the show, David, for texters, as far as Aaron Rodgers and taking the pay cut, how much that bothered Packer fans. We finally got a Packer fan who commented way after this happens. Packer fan, don't care if he plays for nothing. Glad he's gone.
Wow.
I read that in the inflection that I thought he typed it.
Yeah, I think great impression there. I'm willing to bet you were right on. Man, glad he's gone. You sure about that?
I'm fired. We got Jordan Love. That's all we need.
By the way, Rodgers called Love the night before training camp started. He called him up. He said, hey, man, you're ready. Let it rip. It's your team. Go do it. That's pretty nice for a guy who's, supposedly a blankety blank. I'll tell you, he's doing all the right things. Giving money back. He's, Mr. Personality with all his teammates, taking them all out, wishing Jordan Love the best.
Maybe we all need 2 days in the dark.
Maybe
that's what it is.
Apparently made his decision in the dark. He was leaning towards retirement, spent those 2.5 days in the dark. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to Florham Park. Park sounds lovely this time of year. Even Florham.
Where's Carolina finishing the division?
Third.
Ahead of Tampa?
Yeah, maybe fourth. So, tough to win games with a true rookie. You might lose a bunch of close games that you could have won. You look back on and go, like if they wanted to make the playoffs this year, I would have started Dalton. Okay, I think it gives me the best chance right away. The first few games, get off to a better start. Like at Atlanta, who you picking? Home for New Orleans, who you picking? I mean, don't you think there was a slight dog in both games?
They're probably, there'll be a slight dog at Atlanta and home for New Orleans, depending on week 1 results, probably a 2-point dog.
And, if they lose both of them, that's 2 division games also. And then they're at Seattle. So, things could get bleak early.
Right. Home for Minnesota, at Detroit, at Miami. Then they're bye. I mean, they could literally be.
I mean, the first 2 games are their first 2 games are their easiest. Right. And you threw Bryce in for it. Now I'll say this. You draft a quarterback number 1. That's the most important thing, far more than the record and what have you. And if you feel this is the best way to develop them, then, the hell with the record. Who cares if you're 0-6? I mean, everybody's future is going to depend on Bryce Young. So if you think the best way to develop them is to play them, then play them.
I do, by the way.
Okay.
I'm all for putting him in. If it's anywhere close, you play the guy and let him learn.
I think he can play in the league. Okay. I know he's short. I'm okay with it. I think he'll be okay. I really do. Don't know if he'll be a star. He won the Heisman after all in college. I don't know if he's that guy on Sundays, but I think he's okay. I also think Justin Fields can play, and that the organization has committed malpractice around him for 2 years. It's a big year for Justin Fields because they got to commit to the 5th-year option after this year and all that, but I'm buying on Fields for the record.
I'm just not buying that roster.
Not crazy about it, I'll tell you that.
Miller and
the line.
No doubt. That's killing him. Matt Murschel, talk to UCF in the Big 12. That's next on Miller and Moulton.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Nice. Head to Greektown before and get 2 Coney dogs, Mr. Traffic. Go for a Detroit Coney right now. That sounds, it's National Coney Day, so go get 2 Coney dogs in Greektown.
Isn't Ohtani pitching the first game too?
Yes.
That's awesome. Is it an old-fashioned doubleheader or is it a day-night deal?
I believe it's a day-nighter. Oh, it's an old-fashioned doubleheader, 1 and 4.
That's awesome. I hope the weather's beautiful. I hope you have a great day. That sounds like fun. Well, Canada Relief, it's certainly one of the biggest voluntary ones we can remember. Matt Murschel.
I'm doing that right now.
Gotcha.
Matt's on hold.
Thank you. Yeah, Sonny, that's good news, and the Rays haven't gotten a lot of it injury-wise lately.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Another show that's flying by on this final Thursday of July because we got a lot going on in the sports world, especially for this time of year. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Murschel is kind enough to join us once again. He covers college football as a whole with an emphasis on UCF since he works for the Orlando Sentinel. You can follow Matt on Twitter, OS Matt Murschel. That's MURSCHEL. Matt, it's David and Mark once again. Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. How are you guys doing this morning?
We are doing well. We thought of you right away when we heard the Colorado news. Lots of places we could go here. I'm assuming you reached out to UCF folks immediately. What's their thought that Colorado's getting a full share right away? I thought UCF's got to wait till year 3 till they get all their money.
Yeah, UCF does. In fact, all the new coming schools have to wait till year 3, 2026, before they get the full share. I haven't UCF. Didn't return my calls last night. They're having an event this morning that I'm heading out to try to catch up with them and see what's going on. But I'm sure part of the discussion when it came down to how you get a school like Colorado to join the Big 12 and leave the Pac-12 probably came down to a little bit of an idea that, giving them the full share right immediately. If you're Colorado, you're not going to leave the Pac-12 and a possibility of anywhere from $28 to $32 million a year to take $18 million a year for the next 3 years. I think you're going to make a move like this. You want to make sure you get the full financial impact as much as you can. So I think this has probably been discussed. It's been reported that, the Big 12 presidents voted on this already and have reportedly approved the idea of adding Colorado. So it must not be anything that caused any sort of problems amongst them and discussion about why they should move ahead and do that.
Matt, it's never just one. Colorado's not going to be the only one. What do you see as the next move for the Big 12?
Well, I think there's probably going to be another Pac-12 school. I mean, maybe it's Arizona. I know Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado, which were the four corners, as they called it, were kind of mentioned over the last couple months. I think it's probably maybe in Arizona. If Arizona's not interested in making that move, if no one else kind of fits the profile of what Brett Yormark, the Big 12 commissioner, wants to do, maybe he goes elsewhere. Maybe he's talked about UConn. They talked about going east and adding a school from basically the New York market. You bring in a UConn, which would add a lot of value to would add value to their basketball programs. And football is a little sketchy on that front, but they're trying to improve. And maybe you do something like that. So I think there's going to be obviously one more move. I think they want to get to at least 14. Brett told me about a month ago, there's no magic number in his mind if they did expand. He's not looking for some, 18, 20, that kind of sort of thing. He just wants to make sure they get schools that would be, the best fit for what they're trying to do when it comes to a conference.
Matt Murschel, Orlando Sentinel, covering college football and UCF specifically. Follow him on Twitter, OS Matt Murschel, MURSCHEL. And you're right. UConn basketball is a big deal in the Northeast. And obviously they just won the national championship in the women's program, the pedigree over the last 30 years. It would give the Big 12 great exposure in a part of the country where they get virtually none if they were to add UConn. I know they don't bring much in terms of football, but basketball is a big deal in that part of the country. And that could be a place where the Big 12 goes. Matt, we have a theory. If the Big 12 is going to expand, if they're going to take phone calls from the Arizonas, the Utahs, who knows, Washington, Oregon, Cal, Stanford, Connecticut, well, what about the ACC schools? I mean, hell, they nearly had an insurrection 6-8 weeks ago. Clearly half the conference wants a lot more money and is willing to leave to do it. Well, there's seemingly only one place they can leave for, and that's where UCF is right now. I mean, if you're the Big 12 and you're going to receive a phone call, do you want the teams from the West or do you want Florida State, Clemson, and Miami?
Well, I think, Florida State, Clemson, Miami would be great. I think the ACC's grant of rights would be a difficult situation to get out of, for any of those three schools. That's why those schools haven't left. I mean, believe me, Florida State, Clemson, Miami, they're looking at the SEC and saying, hey, guys, if something happens, we're available. And I'm sure if the SEC really wanted to make that move, they would say, sure, let's do that. If the Big Ten was going to add another school, they'd love somebody like maybe a North Carolina, maybe a Florida State, So I think, obviously there can be discussions. I know talking to Florida State Athletic Director Michael Alford, he hasn't had any discussions, at least the last couple of months. He hasn't had any discussions with any other conferences. I think things have settled down a little bit with the ACC. They're trying to do the best they can to add more revenue, creating their own uneven revenue distribution model as well to kind of maybe find ways to reward some of those programs that have, done better on the football field or in the classrooms or on the courts and stuff like that. So, again, if you're the Big 12, I'm sure you're getting a lot of phone calls right now. You're getting a lot of phone calls from a lot of schools who are interested in maybe joining you. But, like I said, talking to Brett a couple weeks ago, he's got kind of an idea in his mind what they're looking for, like what kind of parameters they're looking for when it comes to some of these schools. And they're not just willing to take anybody. I think he wants to make sure whatever move they make brings value to their conference, whether it's through the TV rights deal, the media rights deal, whatever. They want to make sure they get the proper amount of value. And they're not just going to take a bunch of anybody. So they have to make sure whatever works out best for everyone involved, including their current membership.
This has really been a coup for UCF. I mean, it was one thing, we all looked at when they joined the Big 12 as a big deal. But now with the Pac-12 perhaps dissolving, with Colorado coming and at least one more school, as you mentioned, coming, and the opportunity for this conference to expand further, this whole talk of Big 3, Big 4, whatever you want to call it, I mean, UCF walked into a perfect situation, didn't they?
Yeah, they really did. And this is something, that they've been talking about, for a long time. They wanted to make that next, transition into the Power 5, echelon. And they were able to do that to get to the Big 12. And like you said, it's the perfect time because now all of a sudden, instead of being a conference that was on shaky footing, like maybe the Big 12 was about 3 or 4 years ago, you've got a conference now that is really on solid ground. They've got a great, media rights deal that's paid more than anyone thought of at the time, especially when you're losing blue bloods like Texas and Oklahoma. Then you add, okay, well, let's see, we could add a Colorado, maybe we add Arizona. Who knows? Maybe we add, Utah and Arizona State. Maybe we don't. Maybe we add, UConn. But you're going to add value. All of a sudden, that media rights goes up and up and up. And if you're UCF, now you're in the perfect spot because you're playing big brands now. You yourself, you're the youngest, Power 5 school. Now all of a sudden you're in the group with playing with the big boys. You're playing now with the Colorados. We talked about that, playing with Oklahoma's at this point. The more you add, I think it's just going to add more value. And so the payoff is going to be there. And I think that's one of the reasons that UCF understood what was going on and really wanted to get involved in this from the get-go. And I think, again, as they wake up this morning, they felt good already. Now you're looking around thinking, okay, our conference is going to get stronger and better. It may not get to the point ever of being the SEC and the Big Ten, but we're the third best conference in the Power 5. And who knows what's going to happen with the ACC.
Well, that's just what I was sitting here, Matt, and doing the math. What's the irony? UCF desperately wanting to be in a Power 5. And the minute they get in a Power 5, first off, it may get reduced to a Power 4. And then their conference may end up being number 3 out of the 4.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, again, you just don't know. The ACC is in a situation where their next media rights deal doesn't come up until 2036. That's a long time down the road. You look at what the Big 12's media rights deal, it comes up to 2031. So the more schools that Brett Yormark adds now, when they go back to the table to negotiate, I mean, there's an opportunity right there that they could easily surpass the ACC and put themselves in that number 3 spot. And as you mentioned, the Pac-12 is probably going to go away at some point, or they're at least going to be lessened and drop down. I mean, there's nothing much more the Pac-12 can end up doing. So all of a sudden everything's in the cards for the Big 12. That's why I think people don't appreciate the deal, what Brett Yormark was able to do in such a short period of time. I mean, when he arrived on the scene, his goal right away was, I'm going to get our media rights deal locked in and secured, and I'm going to promote everything I can about what we're bringing in, these 4 schools, and we're going to get what we can do, even with that losing Texas and Oklahoma. And he was able to do that. I mean, this is such a secure situation for them. They're not scrambling. You look at what happened to the Pac-12. They waited a few months, and all of a sudden the Pac-12 now finds itself floating away. They don't know what's going to happen. So for Brett to do the job that he was able to do in such a short period of time and secure the footing of this conference is just amazing when you think about it.
Matt, thanks for making time for us. We know you got to run out the door and go to work and track down the UCF folks. Stay safe. Good luck, and we'll talk before opening day.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Matt Murschel. He covers college football and UCF for the Orlando Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter, OS Matt Murschel, MURSCHEL. It's funny, Mark. So Yormark takes over, and he immediately redoes his media deal with Fox and ESPN. By the way, the Big 12, the only conference that's in bed with both. Fox ain't in on the SEC or the ACC, and the ESPN's no longer in on the Big 10. Okay, they're about ready to have their Pac-12 media deal expire, and both networks have said they're not interested in renewing with the Pac-12. So basically, the only conference who's in bed with both media powers in college sports is the Big 12. I think that is very significant for the Big 12.
I like the point you made about Connecticut. And even though it is basketball, Connecticut's basketball centric. If they added Connecticut, it would give the conference great exposure somewhere. I think it's a great point that you made, David, because basketball is so big there that it would bring attention to the Baylors and the Texas Techs and the programs they have.
It would help UCF. I mean,
there's no doubt.
I mean, it really
I'm thinking
would.
of the upper, the above average basketball school that nobody cares about outside of Big 12 country.
Right.
Kansas people know about it. It's a brand.
Yeah, it's a great part of the country for hoops. It really is. They love it. And UConn's a big deal. I mean, the women have their own TV deal with the major regional cable channel, all right, in New York City. That's just the women's team. So, Miller and Moulton. It's interesting. Big 12, immediately after Oklahoma and Texas leave, they do their deal quickly. Pac-12 thought that was a mistake. There's more money to be had if you wait. Meanwhile, SEC did their media deal with ESPN very quickly. Everybody thought that was brilliant. They probably left $150 million a year on the table if they had waited. And instead, who gets all that money? The Big 10, by going with 3 networks instead of 1. It's funny. Waiting probably hurt the SEC financially. acting immediately probably saved the Big 12 and ended the Pac-12.
And the ACC with their long-term deal that is not good and a big advantage to the Big 12. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. They're owned by the same family, Mr. Traffic. If you go back in the history and the whole thing, yeah, it's quite a conundrum.
Well, Chad, nice to be on the show. And besides, we need to be on your station the first 2 hours of our show. 5 to 7 a.m. Central, baby. Make it happen. We're better than what you got now. Did you see where Cameron went to Ireland?
No.
So I think he went, I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I think he went because does Florida State play in Ireland next year? I thought it was like going a year early. It was connected to Florida State somehow, but
Are they
he
going
was in
next
Ireland.
year?
That's what I thought. I thought I saw a tweet said something about them playing in Ireland next year. I don't know.
Man.
I could be wrong on that. I just thought that's why they were going.
Yeah, they will face Georgia Tech August 24th in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
2024.
So he was getting the lay of the land, Mark.
You know, David, if we get Lake City and the other thing you're talking about, we have to go to Valdosta. We got to cross the border and go into Georgia. Just keep going right up I-75.
I'll have to check to see if Valdosta is one of the, because Bill King got picked up in 6 by a company that owns 6 Georgia stations. And so that this guy liked them and he has them now in Georgia. I'll have to check and see if Valdosta is one of them. But yeah. Well, yeah, we might as well just make our way, right up the damn highway.
We'll stop in Macon.
We will stop there. Like old times.
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Jeff Cameron, warchant.com, the Jeff Cameron Show. Does a little Sirius XM work as well. He'll join us, talk a little Florida State ACC. They just had their media days. Plus, is Colorado leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12s? Starts the dominoes have fallen. Well, could the ACC be some of those dominoes? If enough of the schools get up and leave, contracts are null and void. Talk to Jeff about that coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. A reminder, Tuesday, August 15th, 19 days from now, Dr. Roto and our second annual Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com and sign up. It's limited right now to 50 of you. That's it. And there were quite a few of you last year who missed out on it. And you said, I won't miss out next year. Well, it's next year. floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for it. Dr. Roto giving you all his fantasy tips. You can ask all. I mean, this is like a press conference. You know when the event ends, okay? When there's no more questions to be asked.
And this will have far more questions than Alex Golish, the USF coach, received at AAC Media Days or Media Day.
Yeah, the Charlotte coach wasn't really happy either. South Florida was picked 13th out of 14. Charlotte was picked 14th. Both those guys a little grumpy.
By the way, the Fantasy Football Summit brought to you by the law office of Michael F. Hornon. Go to mfh-law.com.
Yeah. He's a big fan of Dr. Roto. All right. And that's not just a joke. He is. He's a big fan. I know it's not the hour. I just want to throw this out there, though, because you know me and trade deadlines. There was a really big trade that happened at like 4 a.m. I mean, arguably the best pitcher that a lot of teams thought was going to be on the market, Lucas Giolito of the White Sox, got dealt to the Angels. The Angels, who took Ohtani off the market and then traded 2 top AA prospects, a catcher and a left-handed pitcher, a switch hitting catcher, by the way. to the White Sox for arguably their ace and also righty Ronaldo Lopez. So the Angels, 4.5 out of the playoffs, they're going all in. Dodgers have already made 2 minor trades. Reportedly, it's down to the Dodgers or Rays for Lance Lynn. You know what, Mark? We got till Tuesday. I'd love to see any trade deadline. Love to see a significant deal made like 5 days out. Good. Let's break the.
Well, I think sellers are at a tremendous advantage this trade deadline. That's why the White Sox were able to get 2 really good prospects. Detroit's in a position with their starter Rodriguez that they should get. I saw a report that they should get 3 top 30 prospects for Rodriguez. Yes, if there are that many buyers, and we pointed this out on the show yesterday, just how many more buyers there are than sellers in Major League Baseball, that there are only 4 American League teams that are sellers right now, 3 in the Central, 1 in the West, that there are 4 or 5 sellers depending on what happens in the National League. When you've got the Cubs, the Mets, and the Padres that are kind of on that undecided thing, we think the Padres and Mets for sure should be sellers, and the Cubs are pushing their way to not be sellers the way they've played over the course of the last 10 days.
There are 5 teams separated by a game in the National League for all 3 wild card spots. How can you, if you're the Padres, the Mets, whomever else, and you decide, now the Cubs are torn. The Cubs are 4.5 out of the playoffs, and they're on a roll. And they've got a soft schedule coming up for the next week. I mean, this roll can continue. But you're right, Mark. If the Cubs decide they're going to sell on Stroman and Bellinger, they should be able to get a lot.
A king's ransom, David. They really should, based on the number of teams that are looking.
And the Angels have already made their push. They're 4 games out of the playoffs. And you got the Red Sox and Yankees who are both out right now. I mean, come on. How much pressure is there? I mean, supposedly the Red Sox GM's job's on the line this year. Okay. And you know what? Brian Cashman needs to make the playoffs. You spent $300 million. You got to make the playoffs. Especially when you've been at the job 25 plus years. And you keep doubling down on all these prospects and managers, and he keeps getting worse. And 5 teams separated by a game for 3 playoff spots in the National League? I mean, they all got to be buyers, right?
Absolutely.
Giants,
3 division
Phillies.
winners that all need to be buyers to stay their arm's distance from these teams. I mean, the Braves have a huge lead, but the Dodgers are no means definitively going to win the West, even though I think you and I both would bet large sums of money that they do.
Never mind the teams like the Dodgers who've already made 2 deals. So the Braves, I mean, they're trying to win World Series. They're not just trying to get in the playoffs. I mean, I think the Rays are going to be uber aggressive here. Come on. If you watch this team, I mean, they're below 500 now for 10 weeks. I mean, how can you not be uber aggressive? Their GM, by the way, did an interview during the game yesterday on Bally Sports and said, we're going to be uber aggressive. I think they have to be. Is the AL like the AFC, though? If you get in it, you can win it?
Well, let me just answer your question with the question. Who's the favorite in the American League?
Thank you.
I'll take Houston.
That's a good bet. A pretty good run here. They're on year 9 of it.
Right.
Right.
And I still think they end up winning that division.
2 back after Texas beat them yesterday. Orioles by 1.5 games over the Rays. Twins by 2 over the Guardians. I mean, this is a bad year for Moulton's split season plan. Let me tell you, 3 divisions in the American League, all 2 games or less. Brewers 1.5 games up on the Reds. Dodgers 3 up on the Giants. This is a bad year for the split season.
Oh, you'll get those once in a while, David. Don't worry. Keep fighting the fight.
So anyway, trade deadline's Tuesday. A lot of teams off on Monday, too. So, they're going to play this weekend series, and then GMs are going to have 36 hours before their teams play again. That's fantastic. Lose 2 out of 3 over the weekend. You just start buying up everything in sight. I want that top pitching prospect. You got him. Rays go to what? Houston and the Bronx, their next 2 series? Seriously, they go to Houston, lose 2 out of 3. You don't think they're going to buy in a big way? First off, let's do the math. Okay, how much? Forget the division for a second. The Rays are 5.5 ahead of the Red Sox, 4 in the loss column. That's just to make the playoffs. They have a 5.5 game lead to make the playoffs, but it's only 4 in the loss column. Are we sure? The Rays, they got 57 games left.
That's why they're trying to get the pitcher. I mean, that's why they've been tied to Lynn. They need a starting pitcher. Their pitching's banged up. I think they need I think they need, David, if they went and got a starting pitcher, some bullpen help, and a bat. I mean, that's how aggressive I think they need to be.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Call the Mets, get all 3. They can certainly get the reliever Robertson. They can get the bat and Pham. They can start there. And then you just keep on, call the White Sox back, get Lynn, just keep on going.
Right. Call the Padres, see what they're willing to give up right now.
Right. Hell. Let's talk Blake Snell, Josh Hader, shall we? Kevin Cash meets him at the airport, says, I promise to leave you in the 6th inning next time. Are we good?
Snell says, don't worry, I made a lot of money in free agency.
Right. And I'm going to make some again next year. I'm left-handed.
Miller and Moulton. Jeff Cameron to talk Florida State and the ACC. That's coming up next right here. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, and CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Do you have a good?
I do, but I'm always willing to take more.
Did you hear about this girl who disappeared 4 years ago?
I saw that on the post.
Wow.
The feds want to make airplane bathrooms big enough for 2. I mean, that's
really.
Yeah. David, Norman Lear's 101 today.
Wow.
SEC me there. That's. I'm glad you got to catch that. Did you see SEC me's comment there, Felipe?
What do you say? I can't see it.
Just about the Felipe Inter Miami question yesterday.
Oh, yes. That was classic. God, I was laughing. Middle of the day yesterday, I just stopped and laughed. God, that was funny. Felipe, that would be like you editing, okay, and you get your VO copy and you know how you're matching up the video to match what they're going to say, and midway through it, you go, I'm not going to put those pictures. I got video over here that's much better. God, it was funny. Man. You're going to give me that clip of the car going into the building, right? Yeah. Next thing you know, you show like, two kids sitting on the corner playing. God, funny. My mother's watched it, sent me a text and said, I love that boy.
Have some more ketchup, Mom. Have some more ketchup.
Dalvin Cook's visiting the Jets today with all that money they got.
No blank.
Never said white, just said weird Americans. It's for any race.
Okay.
Never said white, just said weird Americans who are bored.
I have Phillies back there, by the way. It's exactly what he said.
Yeah, that is what I said. And I'm sticking to it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Final segment along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour begins for the 239 at the top of the hour. We end things with one of our favorites, Jeff Cameron, based out of Tallahassee, covers the Knowles and the ACC. You listen to the Jeff Cameron Show middays. You hear him on warchant.com. Follow him on Twitter, the letter J, Cameron Show, J Cameron Show. Jeff, it's David and Mark. Normally we ask people how they've been. Hell, you went to Ireland last week. Life's pretty good.
Life's good. Good to be with you as always, fellas. Yeah, went to Ireland because Florida State will be playing there in 2024 against Georgia Tech. And really tough assignment, David. They gave me a call, the Irish Tourism Board, and said, we want to fly you over and have you eat and drink and go to all the sites that are going to be available to fans who come over in 2024. maybe you could play some golf on a top 50 course. Would you like to do that? And I thought about it and really wrestled with it, and then thought, well, okay, if you'd like to pay me to go to Ireland, I guess I'll do it.
How much better is Guinness over there than it is here, Jeff?
So 18 years ago, I went to Ireland on my honeymoon and went to St. James Gate with the Guinness Brewery. And they only give you 2 Guinness when you get to the top of the brewery overlooking Dublin. So I bribed the bartender and gave him $20 and said, look, I know you can't give me any more than 2, but what if you accidentally just kept setting them up on the corner over here and I'd walk by and get them? And that was when I first learned how much better Guinness is over there than it is here. The afternoon that I had about 7 instead of the 2, and it's still that way. It is still that way. I made sure to partake yet again, and it's simply tremendous.
So good tourism note there from Jeff Cameron. Overtip.
Always.
The Guinness bartender, and you might get more than the standard 2 pints on the tour. That is great advice.
That's
right
why you
there.
have me on, boys. That's why you have me on.
No doubt about it. Thanks, Jeff. Be well. Although, Jeff, I have to admit, after you got done arranging your trip, you couldn't have told them about Miller and Moulton. I mean, we would have been willing to do the same thing, you know.
Well, I don't like to presume, you know.
You're so polite of you. So polite of you. Hey, what
wasn't
was it?
Dublin, Ohio, Jeff? That's all I know. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Jeff set us up at Firestone on the PGA Tour. Right. Oh, wrong Dublin. Okay. What was it like being at ACC Media Days in which Florida State was like, you know, Florida State again? Everybody talking them up. What was that like?
Yeah, I thought I forgot what that felt like, I guess. I mean, it was interesting. It kind of the bell of the ball again in a way, because I think people are just tired of Clemson dominating the conference for the last decade or so. And finally had another team to talk about. It was interesting. You know, I did want to see how Mike Norvell and the players that he brought along were going to handle a different set of expectations. You know, a year ago at this time, it was kind of like, you think you guys can have a winning record again at any point? And this time around, of course, it's the thought is that they could win the conference, and it's not crazy to say it. And then from there, they were asked repeatedly about, well, if you're good enough to win the conference, perhaps maybe a college football playoff appearance. And it's just interesting because it feels like it's all happening so fast. But, you know, in the era of the transfer portal, it is entirely possible. And Mike has done a good job, he and his staff, of raising the floor of this roster considerably. I mean, I was asked to gauge how many draft picks in the NFL draft for next year will involve Florida State players. And I really think, I think a conservative estimate is anywhere between 8 to 12. I mean, they have that kind of talent on this roster that is aging at just the right time. That is to say, they're very experienced at a lot of key positions, and guys have come along nicely. So, fellas, I wouldn't be surprised if they do compete for the conference title this year.
Well, the biggest turnarounds in the trenches, Jeff, it was a couple of years ago. We were talking to you, and you're like, look, if an offensive lineman gets hurt, they're done for. It's over. It is so thin, they can't afford injuries. And then they would have them, and the years that progressed were accordingly. But this year, you know, Phil Steele, who everybody trusts is the best in the business, has their offensive line as the 3rd best unit in the country, behind Georgia and Michigan. That's high praise.
It's the greatest turnaround besides Jordan Travis himself, going from a really mobile, athletic quarterback, quote unquote, that could just run around and make plays, to becoming a bona fide Heisman contender who can throw the ball from the pocket. The biggest turnaround besides him is, in fact, this offensive line. They've got to coincide it, and you know it is remarkable. I asked Alex Atkins at the end of spring how many guys he has, and I think I told you this, how many guys he thought could legitimately compete for the 5 starting spots. And he said 12. And I don't know if there's anybody that could say confidently that they've got 12 offensive linemen competing for 5. That's how deep they are now. I would say the high-end offensive lines like Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and Michigan, they might be better in terms of the 5 starters in quality, but I don't know about quantity. I think Florida State may be the deepest offensive line in the country, and they're all plus players.
Jeff Cameron, The Jeff Cameron Show, middays in Tallahassee, warchant.com. Follow him on Twitter, the letter J, Cameron Show, the letter J, Cameron Show. All right, where are they still lacking? Where is it in which if they get one injury, you go, oh boy?
Well, I think they're thin at linebacker. I think that they have two good starters at linebacker. These days, teams a lot of times only have two linebackers on the field at one time. Florida State runs a 4-2-5. So it's interesting. They're often in the nickel. But they've got two good starters, Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach. It gets thin from there. I don't know that there's anybody you could say is truly proven.
Well,
Jay Lundy has played a lot of football. He's an okay player at the position. But if they get hurt there, I think they're a little thin.
Well, is that where this Northwestern four-star transfer, and I know he hasn't played it down in college football yet, but is that where this kid maybe could, be one of those key backups?
That's what they're thinking. They've got a kid in Nicholson that came in from California who was a two-way player and a really good athlete. And he has said his specialty is said to be that he's really good in coverage, and they could use that. Their linebackers get exposed in one-on-one situations in the middle of the field in coverage. So I don't know how much you can ask a freshman to play. They got LSU out the gates. It'll be interesting to see if he plays at all. But, yeah, the kid from Northwestern, you're right. I mean, I wasn't surprised they jumped on it when the opportunity arose regarding Northwestern players. And so, it's not surprising, but I've never seen him play. I can't give you an evaluation on that. Camp starts next week, though.
Where might they be a little bit better than maybe we had thought? Is there a spot that was thin going into spring that looks better? I mean, their defensive line looks great. Their offensive line looks great. What about the weapons?
Well, listen, when they got Keon Coleman, those sweepstakes for the receiver out of Michigan State were high. Everybody in the country wanted Keon Coleman. He's a proven commodity, 6'4". He can catch it in traffic. Keon's thought is that he wants to come in and play 1 year and go to the league, and he's a nice-looking player. He put up a lot of numbers at a place at Michigan State where they didn't throw the ball that well. So I think having him opposite Johnny Wilson really means Florida State is a problem for opposing defenses. I think that's the area you look at. They've got three quality tight ends. They didn't have that a year ago. They're deep at wide receiver. They weren't a year ago. Those are the weapons. They're five deep at running back. The offense is not going to be the problem. It should be one of the best offenses in the country. I think I can say that conservatively. That's one of the best offenses in the country. The question marks will be, can they play championship-level defense? They haven't yet under Adam Fuller. It's been a work in progress. They have improved each year, but they've hardly been good against good competition. So that's the big step for this team. If they're going to be a team that wins the ACC and somehow maybe makes the college football playoff, it's because their defense takes a big step forward. The offense is kind of set it and forget it.
Yeah, defense did not end the year last year against Florida and Oklahoma, a pair of 6-6 teams with impressive performances at all. All right, Jeff, in our remaining moments, can we go big picture and tell us if we're off base? We figure if Colorado's joining the Big 12 today, and that there's 3, 4, 5, 6 other Pac-12 schools that are on the phone calling the Big 12 going, well, come on, let's go. Well, what's to prevent Florida State, Clemson, and the 7, 8 schools that were, little ornery a month or so ago to leave the ACC from saying, well, should we call the Big 12 now? Because there may not be spots for us if we don't call them now. I mean, are we off base in thinking that not only is Arizona and Arizona State on the line, but maybe Florida State and Clemson should be too?
I know they desperately want out. They've made it very, very known publicly that they want out. But I think that they're holding out for a spot in the SEC. I think they want to leverage a Big Ten offer eventually to push the SEC to make the move now. I think if they had their druthers, that's what they'd like to do. I don't think they want to join the Big 12, but their desperation to get out of the ACC wouldn't have me ruling that out. It would be interesting. I think they'd want to know who all the dance partners are going to be. But ultimately, I think they would like to see their way into the SEC. There have been rumors all summer long that the Big Ten, as they seek to continue to grow coast to coast, obviously with the additions of USC and UCLA, are just waiting on the Pac-12 to fold so that they could grab Oregon and Washington, and then they want to go all the way down to Florida and grab Florida State and Miami and perhaps Clemson and North Carolina. They want a behemoth. You hear these things. We've all heard various machinations, variations of these types of team grabs, and that the SEC would have to counter, and that, we could be down to two giant conferences. The Big 12 would take what was left over because they've been very aggressive. But I don't know what to believe anymore. We feel like, every time I get one of these rumors come in my inbox and I follow it down that rabbit hole, they all seem valid, but nothing's come to pass week in and week out. I don't know how quickly this all happens, but I do know that as long as there's a massive shakeup in the process of playing out, that's good news for the teams who want out of the ACC. You want to see as much chaos as possible because it creates a sense of urgency, is the thought, for the Big Ten and the SEC to kind of round out their final plans.
Well, Jeff, wouldn't, instead of Florida State wondering who their dance partner wouldn't this be the time that they would select their own dance partners in the ACC? They've already had that group of 6. It doesn't take much more to really put a dent in this conference.
Well, I agree. And I imagine everything's on the table. Yeah, I wouldn't rule any of that out. Once they made it publicly known, in various ways, that they want out of the conference, that's it. The genie's out of the bottle. There's no making nice now. That was one of the interesting things at the ACC meetings is that, they arrived there almost with a scarlet letter, like, hey, we don't want to be here. Screw all of you guys. It's interesting to watch this play out. There's a sense that the teams of the ACC that don't have a landing spot or aren't as desirable are casting a jaundiced eye at Florida State and Clemson going, we know what you're up to. And everybody gets the deal. But you have to play nice when you're at these meetings and you smile and you tell everybody how much you like the ACC. In the meantime, you're taking, back alley meetings and calls in your room about when can we get the hell up out of here. Everybody knows that's going on. It's just a matter of how quickly can it happen and how do you find a way out from under what feels like, at least according to most, an ironclad situation with the grant of rights deal through 2036.
And Jeff, as we let you go, we're just wondering, what if the Big 12 pulls a Baltimore? Remember when they had Modell on the plane and Modell wanted to take the offer back to Cleveland and Baltimore said, if you get off this plane, the offer's no good. And I'm wondering if the Big 12 gets on the phone with the 5-6 ACC schools and they say, listen, you're either coming now or there ain't going to be room for you. So, we can go east, we can go west. It's your call. You got till 5 o'clock.
I love it. I hope it happens. I want to see as much chaos as possible at this point. I feel like we've blown the whole thing up already. A lot of the traditions are out the window. The time for lamenting that has already passed. College football's moved to a new era where many of those things have been left behind. And if you're a purist, you're disgusted. But what are you going to do? Stop watching college football? Nah, you're going to keep watching. So at this point, if you're a Florida State fan or if you're an administrator, you got to get to where the getting's good, meaning the money disparity between what Florida State and other ACC schools will be paid compared to that of the SEC and the Big Ten has got to be made up in a significant way for you to compete long term. So at this point, you want as much chaos as possible, something that disrupts the current state of affairs where you can move on.
Middays in Tallahassee, Jeff Cameron, The Jeff Cameron Show. Listen to him on warchant.com. Follow him on Twitter, the letter J, Cameron Show. Jay Cameron Show. Jeff, as always, thanks. Glad you had a great trip. We'll talk again before the LSU game.
I'll vouch for your Irish credentials soon, guys. I will do it. And it's always a pleasure to be with you. Have a great rest of the day.
Ireland, not Ohio. Ireland.
Right.
Dublin, Ireland. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. Bonus hours next.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Coach Grizzle, otherwise known as Chad, you drive 100 miles for the MLS games? I mean, your station's in Huntsville. Nashville's over 100 miles away. And by the way, Mongo.
No. He says they've got a team in Huntsville.
Oh, I thought it said Nashville.
A local team, HCFC,
Gotcha.
for
I'm
Nashville Soccer Club. They're the.
Gotcha. My bad. Sorry about that. Mongo, Bud's going to be a regular, and we're going to start. I don't know if we're going to start the week of the 21st of August or the week of we'll probably start the week of the 21st with our regulars. Okay. We'll have played, I think, 2 NFL preseason games, and we'll be days away from week 0 games. So Bud will be a regular on Wednesdays. So I don't know if we'll have him between now and August 23rd, probably once, but then he will be a regular Wednesdays around 8:30. We're going to have to move Seth up to 8 on Wednesday. We have a hell of a grid, by the way, a guest list for the fall, guys. We knocked it out of the park, if we do say so ourselves.
And by we mean David, because he books the show.
Well, yeah, but you sell it, so just doing what we can. Stay on the air. Yeah, right. That's hysterical, Mongo. That's hysterical.
Good news, there's still a shot at the Mega Millions Friday.
At which point the show goes away. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, everybody. Gary's, I think, going to be a regular this year. Final year in the SEC on Mondays. And probably the 7 o'clock hour. Which, by the way, Chad, imagine that. Put us on in the morning on your station between 5 and 7 a.m. You'd get Danielson every Monday. Huh?
Is it his call?
Well, I mean, it's not his call, but he's got input.
I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, but he's around the building more than Tom, so he has a better chance to actually run into somebody and talk us up. Oh, RCB. If the Knowles are back, oh yeah, yeah.
I just don't know. Again, I don't care if they're back or not. I don't know why the SEC needs them. I don't.
Well, no, not for the SEC. Listen, Miller and Moulton are like, if we're the SEC, we're good.
Not interested. And I'm not being a jerk. They add nothing to me.
Don't need you. Now, for the Big 12.
Right, but I mean, the Big Ten, like, that's Jeff's nuts. The Big Ten's not calling Clemson and Florida State. They're not.
No, because academically they don't fit.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this final Thursday of July. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers of 30, 35, and 42 to when the football season gets underway. But man, do we got a lot of meat on the bone, especially for this time of year. College football realignment's back at it, baby.
And it's Colorado. I mean, it's Colorado.
Only takes one domino, though. You know, you build that structure, you pull the leg out. But yeah. I think it's twofold. A little bit of history with the conference and all that. They did win a national championship while in the Big Eight. Okay, they damn near played for a national title. Should have, you could argue, in 2001 against Miami. And I know it's a while ago. Okay, but also, Denver, a brand, the Buffalo. Everybody knows them. Now they got a high-profile coach who's going to bring attention to them at the right time.
Timing, David.
Doesn't hurt.
We knew there was another round of realignment coming. So I shouldn't be that surprised that it's Colorado that's the domino that tipped. But there is just a part of me that thought, well, it would be in Oregon. It would be a Washington. Hell, it would be someone in the ACC. Or maybe it would be, wait for it, Notre Dame that would get this whole thing going again. But it's Colorado.
Right. Okay. And now who joins them? And if you're the Big 12, you going to be picky? I mean, you figure you got to add one more because you can't have an odd number next year. You're at 13. That's not ideal. Okay. We need an even number. The easy one, if you just want to only add one more and then just kind of wait this sucker out and be choosy, you could add UConn. I mean, yeah, in the other sports, football, they're not good. They have virtually no history. But we all know what they bring to the table in basketball and some other sports, and we know the region of the country they bring into the conference. And then you're at 14, and then you just hang tight. Or if you're the Big 12, Mark, are you beginning later today and tomorrow? Are you like Pac-Man, the video game, and you're like, no, I'm gobbling them up. Who's in my way? Arizona State, Utah, done. Give an ultimatum to Oregon and Washington. If you want in, now. Boom, done.
Were you a Pac-Man guy?
I was not a video game guy. It was one of the very few at the mall that I would stop and play.
Did you know did you just play, or did you learn the proper way to play so you could advance and get through screen after screen?
No, a total novice. Was thrilled if I could advance a couple of rounds. No. I was a fool. Yeah, I was a patsy. My friends would see me coming and go, well, we can get Moulton to pay for these games. He sucks.
Loved me some Pac-Man.
The Airbnb that we stayed at about a month ago, my wife immediately, they had a Pac-Man machine on the second floor, the game room area and what have you, and the video game was Pac-Man. And she literally was like, we're coming back here next year. Yes.
Good to know that she's a video game gal.
Well, she's definitely a Pac-Man gal. Don't know about the others, but man, did she love that.
I always thought Miss Pac-Man was better.
It was.
It was faster.
It was better, but yeah. Pac-Man was the original, and you could learn basically, there was a cheat code to it. I mean, you could learn the pattern that would get you going. Miss Pac-Man didn't have a pattern. It was a harder game. It was a better game. You're 100% right. But Pac-Man's the OG.
So if you're the Big 12, are you going to be Pac-Man? Okay. And you're going to play it cool. Okay. And maybe just gobble up one or three more, and we'll go to either 14 or 16. Or are you going to be Miss Pac-Man? You're just going to be eating everything in your path.
I could make a couple off-color jokes right now, but I'm going to keep them inside.
Thank you. I'm not kidding if I'm the Big 12. I am calling up Florida State, and I'm saying, if you're serious, now's the time. I'll take you guys over the schools out west. I can stop at Denver. I'd rather have you and Clemson and Miami,
Tech, Louisville,
Louisville, NC State. Okay, that's 7. And then we all know Carolina and Virginia will go to the Big Ten, and boom, the ACC implodes. Okay, I'll do that deal right now. By the way, you add those 7 to Colorado, you got a 20-team conference. If you want, I could geographically right now draw the line in the middle. I mean, I really could.
And, question the Twitch chat room, who's paying the buyout to the ACC? Nobody, because the conference is dissolving. The way to get around the grant of rights is to have 7 teams leave.
8. You need to have a majority. They got 4, so it's got to be 8. That's how you get around it. It's the only way right now that anybody has any confidence in getting around it. They actually think right now you'd go to court and lose. And it'd be it'd be hundreds of millions of dollars you would lose. So, but you get 8 schools at one time to go, we're out of here. The other thing is you could just say we're out of here in 2026. You get North Carolina and Virginia to just say, we'll play 2-3 more years here. We'll join the Big Ten in 2026. You guys can start working on those schedules right now.
I do think it would take the Big 12 reaching out to Florida State, though. I don't think right now. I think Jeff was right. I think it's calmed. I don't think that Florida State's aggressively looking to break up the conference. If they are, then they've done a very good job of keeping it under wraps.
All right.
And these things don't stay under wraps. Okay. So I do think it would happen the way you're talking about.
Where the Big 12 would call?
Yes.
Okay, you're Florida State. I'm the Big 12. All right, humor me for 2 minutes here. I call you up. You know the offer that I'm going to make you. It's go time. And you're basically giving me the indication you want to wait out what Sankey and company are going to do. And if I give you the Baltimore ultimatum, I'm telling you right now, if I go west, I'm grabbing so many schools I can't bring you guys in because I ain't going to 24. I'm just telling you, you guys aren't going to have a place to go. I mean, we all know the Big Ten's not taking 6 of you. They'll take 2, maybe 3, and then they can grab Notre Dame. That's it. So I'm just telling you right now, you need us. For you guys to blow up the ACC, you need us. I'm telling you that moment is now. You going to play poker with me? What if the SEC just decides 16, we're good?
And that's what I'd be afraid of if I was Florida State. I don't know if I'm the president of Florida State that I could let this go by with where we are financially and where we're going to be financially 5 years from now if we don't leave this conference. They're going to get left behind financially.
Now, there's a twofold scenario. First off, now this is where the SEC only having one media partner and that partner being ESPN is bad. Because what if ESPN's like, we ain't throwing any more money in the pile? Now, ESPN, when they re-up their Big 12 deal, all right, told them certain schools will kick it in. So that's why the Big 12 is giving Colorado $31.7 million right away. Because between Fox and ESPN, they're ponying up the money for Colorado. I don't know if you've heard, but ESPN/Disney's laying off 7,000 people. All right. I mean, do they really want to? They have to renegotiate their NBA deal in the next 2 years. All right. The baseball deal's up in 2028. How much more money they really? The college football playoff deal is up, and they want to keep as many playoff games as they have, and they're going to have to pay a lot more than they're paying right now. How much more money do you think they got? Now, they can, if the ACC goes away, all the ESPN money, they could take that money and throw it into the pile. Okay, in theory, they may also go, yeah, we need that for the NBA.
I think the ESPN would love to get out from the ACC contract. Not just because of the money, but as we've talked about, they've got programming issues now.
Right. By the way, they could shutter the ACC network and ACC network 2. They'd save money. That ain't making them money. So that's just why, if you're Florida State and Miami, if the Big 12 leans on you, are you sure you can put them off? I mean, honestly, if you're Miami and you think, we're not an SEC school, we're a Big 10 school, you sure that call's ever going to come? You better be. It's only the future of your athletic department. It's not a big decision or anything. You know, same with Florida State. Are you sure? Even if you're back being Florida State, are you sure they're going to call?
And look at your NIL department's got it going on. Everything's working the right way right now. But the number of dollars you're going to get from the conference isn't going to change. And it's about to get dwarfed by what's going on in the SEC and the Big 10. And the Big 12 will be making more money than you as well.
I won't even get into how complicated it could be for Florida State joining the SEC. How many games are they going to protect going forward? What if they're only protecting one game per school? They going to protect Florida State? Or are they going to protect Florida, Georgia? I mean, that's another thing. You go to the Big 12, you can keep playing Florida every year in all sports. You join the SEC, I don't know. We got a whole bunch of teams. Don't know if we can schedule everybody. You sure you want that? Don't think it's not possible, by the way. Don't think it's not possible that even Florida, out of the side of their mouth, says, hey, if you want to, take Florida State off the schedule every year, we're okay with that.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when, and what's on tap. That's 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Michael just reached out to me via text, says he thinks the commercial sounds good, so he wanted to say thank you, Felipe.
You're welcome, Michael.
I love them. And who the hell is Roger Peckinpah?
That's what I want to know.
Is Joey Votto a top 5 Red of all time?
He played baseball from 1910 to 1927. God, the guy's been dead for 45 years. That's God almighty, I swear. He did win MVP, though. Roger Peckinpah was player manager of the Yankees in 1914.
They're running breaking news on the 4-letter network that Dalvin Cook's visiting the Jets. That's breaking news.
He's going to sign with the Jets.
If he signs with the Jets, then you can put breaking news on the screen.
Well, why else would Rodgers take the pay cut?
Well, first off,
again, I'm not arguing any of these things. I'm merely saying that on the 4-letter network, they have breaking news. Dalvin Cook visiting Jets. That would be like NBC2 breaking news. It's hot. Okay.
Here's the other thing that could happen, Felipe. You think the Dolphins want him going to the Jets?
No.
Okay.
Actually.
Dolphins could. he could land at Teterboro there in Jersey, which is like 15 minutes, 20 tops from Florham Park. And on the drive to Florham Park, the Dolphins could call his agent and go, "Yeah, we'll meet it. We'll give you."
Because Delvin wants to play with Miami. So
right.
And if the Dolphins match that offer, he'll go to Miami.
Well, maybe.
I mean,
first off, if you're the Jets, you could say the same thing. You leave the room, we pull the offer. Did you ever hear the Jim Kelly Houston Gamblers story? It's amazing. He's negotiating with the Bills, who he does not want to play for. He's been drafted by him in the first round. And a call comes in from the Houston Gamblers to the Bills secretary. And she goes, "Hold on one second." And she walks in the room and says, "Mr. Kelly, there's a phone call." And he's like negotiating the deal with the Bills. And he gets up and he leaves. He takes the phone call. And it's the Houston Gamblers saying, "Whatever you do, don't sign anything. We'll offer you twice as much." Kelly goes back in, filibusters. They get up and they leave. They've signed in Houston.
Damn.
RCB, you just can't kick Missouri and Vanderbilt out because they're not any good. You can't. I mean, you have to violate rules to get kicked out of a conference.
Now the Big Ten could Northwestern hazing, they could get kicked to the curb. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's got to be something. I mean, conferences have bylaws.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. 20 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. RCB in our Twitch chat room, and you could take in Miller and Moulton via twitch.tv every morning, twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. You get to see us and the inner workings of the show, and it's pretty cool during the commercial break what it is we talk about, and Felipe jumps in, etc.
Thursday and Fridays just for Felipe's hair.
By the end of the week, you never have any idea what the wardrobe and the hair is going to be like. So RCB chimes in. We were talking about this conference realignment and says, well, if you're the SEC, why don't you just, take a couple of the schools that you want and, kick out a Missouri or a Vandy or something like that. Now, you and I have talked about this before. There's bylaws. You can't just kick a school out because they're not any good at football. You really can't. I mean, who's going to join a league in which that's one of the bylaws? And I don't see the bylaws ever getting changed. Or do you, Mark? Do you think we will get to a point down the road where these behemoth conferences start kicking out some of their longtime lesser members to grab some diamonds that are out there to bring them in and say to them, we all know who the schools are. Hey, it's been good. It's been real. It's been fun. We wish you the best.
Maybe. And I only say maybe because you don't know what the future would bring. But these conferences are built on more than just bad football teams and good football teams. And to think that if you could become bad, they kick you out. Now, the one school that's always in that list of getting kicked out is Northwestern. Or had been when is what happened at Northwestern have the folks at the Big Ten going, our bylaws state that if you break these rules, we could kick you out. Now, see, Northwestern seems to be like a school that could get kicked out for what's happened with the hazing. I don't think the Big Ten's kicking anybody out, mind you. But I would think it would have to be something like that to throw a school out, not just being bad in football.
I agree. I mean, there are in the bylaws, there are criteria as to what it is we could dismiss you for. Being 3-9 in football is not one of them. Now, what I do think is going to happen in the 2030s is what has just been reportedly negotiated in the ACC, where if you are having levels of success, you will get more of the pie. So supposedly the Florida States and the Clemsons of the world can earn a little more money if their football programs are where they think their football programs are going to consistently be. I've said this, Mark. What is to prevent Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, and USC? It'd be tough for USC to do it. They just got moved into the neighborhood. But we all know the big two. In about 7 years, when the Big Ten contract's up, in which Ohio State and Michigan go, we are not going to get the same share as Indiana.
And I think that makes more sense to me than trying to kick a school out. Because the other thing that you and I have talked about for a while on and off is what's really important in college football? Wins.
Yes.
Wins.
Yes.
It's the most important thing, more than any other sport out there. You really going to be able to handle an SEC where 9-3 is going to win the conference, if you know what I mean? College football fans like that donut.
Yeah.
They like that 12-1. That resonates with them.
You know what Vandy and Missouri are most years?
Wins.
Mm-hmm. Never mind, they chip in other sports too. Missouri can play a little hoop. Vandy can play some really good baseball. That's cute. That's fun. And you know what they provide in football?
W's.
Man, in fact, I could argue, outside of being, Alabama, that's sexy. So
You could argue that a Northwestern's more important than a Michigan State. Because Michigan State can get good every 4 years and beat you.
Right.
Ask Ohio State. Northwestern doesn't get in the way like that. Not very often.
And we love the Gophers. Got to tell you, that was a bit of a hit piece on PJ Fleck. And I'm not a PJ Fleck guy. I think he's just a bit of a fraud. I'm with Pat Royce on that. I think he's a used car salesman and a fraud. In fact, I think it speaks too disparaging of used car salesmen. I apologize. But there was a hit piece out there yesterday about PJ Fleck, former players and coaches, and some of his behavior and what have you. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. There's hazing, and then there's just we're screaming and yelling, and I don't know. It's just I think we gotta be careful here. Got to be careful. That's all. But back to the topic at hand. So besides Colorado, what do you predict? Your crystal ball right now. Oregon, by the way, has a board meeting 4 hours before Colorado. Their board meeting is at like 11 a.m. Pacific. Colorado's is at 3 o'clock Mountain Time.
I'm really curious what comes out of Eugene, Oregon today.
Yeah. Like, are they not going to wait around for the Big Ten? Tony Petitti yesterday stood in front of the podium and said, we're worried about USC and UCLA. We ain't doing anything before 2026 if we're doing anything at all. And if the Pac-12 is going to disappear here in the next 12 months, if you're Oregon and Washington, are you really going to go to the Mountain West? Even for a couple years, you really going to go to the Mountain West?
What do you do if you're the Big 12 and you can get Oregon and Washington, but yet that Big 10 looms out there? Do you put a grant of rights in? What do you do with those schools if you wanted to bring them in?
Well, I would, because Oregon could afford to pay it. So, yeah, I'd put some ridiculous figure in there knowing Phil Knight can write a check. So, I'm a winner either way. I get Nike for however long I rent them, and then I get this huge check. So I'd be fine with it.
Then if I'm the Big 12, I would be thinking Oregon and Washington.
Now, do you give them an ultimatum, though? Do you give them a listen? This offer is only good till Labor Day. Just so you know, you have to make this announcement before you start playing football games and basketball games this year.
I could do that. And I think they might come anyhow. There's no media. I mean, what's the Pac-12's media deal?
Well, it's up, I think, at the
right.
end of. Well, I do know this. Colorado does not have to pay a dime for leaving. That I do know.
But what are the commissioner was asked point blank about the media deal, and he says, we're going to focus on football today at their media day at the Pac-12?
Well, it's pretty obvious that all the schools at the Pac-12 gave the commissioner until the end of July. It's like, okay, we'll give you a year to come up with the TV deal. And at the football media day, you're going to sit down, you're going to meet with us, you're going to tell us how much and what networks we're going to be on. And reportedly, either he did and it's not good enough, or he doesn't have a deal. And most reports are they don't have a deal. And Colorado said, well, we're done waiting. There's also a report out there the Big 12 gave him an ultimatum. They said, listen, now or never. And we'll give you a full share immediately. Yes or no? And they said, we gone.
They did go Hawk Harrelson. I'm pretty sure David's right. That was the exact quote. Was we gone?
I love the fact the Big 12 has already voted to accept them before they've announced that they want to be accepted.
Would have been really something if they'd have said Colorado and Oregon are both accepted.
UCF's only going to get like 18 to 20 million for their first 2-3 years in the league. And Colorado's going to get 32 right out of the chute. Miller and Moulton.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone, on 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, never mind. Didn't know if you can hear me. So, if Dalvin Cook goes to the Jets, like, they're winning it all.
No.
You don't think they'd be betting favorites to win it?
Well, first off, the whole New York thing, their odds are going to be really, really good. But, Felipe, it's football. We got to see who gets hurt.
It's true. So it was the same thing with the Bills last year.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers broke his throwing thumb last year. Look at what it did to the Packers. You know, Rodgers got sacked, what was it, 5 years ago by Anthony Barr, broke his collarbone. Packers went from 4-1 to 6-10. I mean,
Anything could happen. You're right about
plus
that.
I will say this about the Jets. If you look at their schedule, their first 6 are really challenging. They're like middle 7, 8. They got some wins there. They could go 3-3 and then go like 6-1. Remember the Dolphins last year? We broke down their schedule. First few, tough. And then we said, hey, they got 5 winnable games here, and they won them all.
That's why, that looking at Carolina's schedule, the Panthers, it's really tough, but they finished with a bunch of division games that if they somehow got New Orleans and Atlanta and just went 2-4, they're not in a bad spot, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
How are they overrated, Spitz? I am being serious. I want the Jets to lose a lot of games, but you got to convince me they're overrated. They've got an elite defense. Elite.
And elite quarterback.
I mean, I'm not seeing anybody picking them to win the Super Bowl, except for maybe Greeny. But you've got to consider him one of the what? I mean, you got to consider him a playoff contender. How can you not? They have Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Right. They went 7-10 with what they had at quarterback, and they lost their star running back with an injury. What? They were doing just fine until he got hurt. Well, you're counting on a quarterback you're predicting a quarterback to get hurt. I hope you're right, but I don't think that they're overrated. I think they're rated pretty accurately. David, today in 1958, Esso Oil, now Exxon, issued a report warning that listening to rock music in the car could waste gas because, and I quote, the rhythm can cause a driver to unconsciously jiggle the gas pedal.
That's funny. That is hilarious.
Oh, man. Start him.
Ten seconds. Ooh.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The home stretch of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday of July. Thanks so much for being with us. A reminder, floridasportsnetwork.com. That's where you can go to download any part of the show that you missed, like Frank Garcia, like Matt Murschel, like Jeff Cameron on this day, talking plenty of college and pro football. It's also where you go to sign up for our second annual Fantasy Football Summit. It's Tuesday, August 15th. It's limited to the first 50 people who sign up. You'll get all the wisdom and knowledge that Dr. Roto can give you so that you can kick you-know-what in your fantasy football league. We hold it early enough so you can take it and then do your draft and then be in the money. Tuesday, August 15th, floridasportsnetwork.com. Go to it. Sign up. It's at Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe, Bell Tower Shops, Fort Myers, presented by the law firm of Michael F. Hornung.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1866 we start. The first transatlantic telegraph cable comes ashore in Newfoundland after being laid out on the Great Eastern Steamship, 1,686 miles. It's a hell of a cable. Today in 1927, Mel Ott at 18 hits his first home run. It was an inside the park home run.
Think about that, by the way. 18 years old in the major leagues. 18 years old. Wow.
Today in 1940, Bugs Bunny first debuts in Wild Hair. I'm a Bugs fan, for what it's worth. 1953, North Korea and the United Nations signed the armistice to stop fighting and divide Korea at the 38th parallel. 1965, LBJ signs a bill requiring cigarette makers to print health warnings on all cigarette packages.
The warning. This may not be good for your health.
Nothing comes close to the Canadian warnings on them, though. Basically, if you smoke these, you will die. Fun little factoid today in 1978, David. Dwayne Kuiper from the Indians is the third in Major League Baseball history to hit 2 bases-loaded triples in a game. He did so at Yankee Stadium. 1983, Gaylord Perry joins Nolan Ryan and Steve Carlton to reach 3,500 career strikeouts. Also today in 83, Madonna's debut album is released.
Were you aware of Madonna and into her music right away, or was it the next album?
No, it was that album because it had Lucky Star on it. And that video, she was sexy. I was a young kid, and Madonna in that video,
yeah.
that was like, wow. That was different than anything I'd seen on MTV before. 84, Pete Rose collects his 3,503rd career single, and the movie Purple Rain is released. 86, Greg LeMond wins the Tour de France. No, I mean, he actually won it. He still is credited with winning it.
Right. No, he didn't cheat. Nothing.
1997, the Smashing Pumpkins released Siamese Dream. Great album. 2003, Lance Armstrong did not win the Tour de France. And it was just 2 years ago that Simone Biles withdraws from the women's team final at the Tokyo Games. Leo DeRocher and Irv Cross would have celebrated birthdays today. Norman Lear is 101 years old today.
That is remarkable.
Figure skater Peggy Fleming is 75. Coach O is 62. Go Tigers.
Did you see him on the beaches? Okay, all tan. Flirting away.
He's great.
Life is good. Got that LSU settlement. He's fine.
Triple H is 54. A-Rod's 48. Ryan Tannehill's 35, David. Jordan Spieth is 30. And Drew Rasmussen is 28. What did I miss?
Spieth is 30, huh?
Yeah.
So he's done, won how many majors in his 20s there? 4? So, well, we got a few things going on today. First off, the House began impeachment of Nixon today in 74. Tragically, but it led to quite a movement in this country. Adam Walsh was abducted today. 6-year-old Adam Walsh in Hollywood, Florida. You may be aware of his father, John Walsh, and the movement that he started, and it led to the TV shows. And tragically, that story began 42 years ago today. Also, were you in Atlanta in 96 today?
Is this
was bombing?
No.
Centennial Park.
No, I actually was in Siesta Key, Florida. I was living in Atlanta, but
You were on vacation?
I was on vacation.
It was
My
probably
pa-
smart to get out of Atlanta for the Olympics, right?
My parents were on I-75 on their way to Atlanta when they were listening to the radio and heard the breaking news. And they said, should we still go?
Took nearly 7 years for them to catch the right guy, because they arrested within a few days Richard Jewell, who, if anything, saved lives that day. But Eric Rudolph was the guy that they captured nearly 7 years later in North Carolina, who did that and a few other bombings. But 27 years ago today, the bombing Centennial Park in Atlanta.
They made a movie about Richard Jewell. It's called Richard Jewell. If you haven't watched it, it's a great watch. I
It
highly
is.
recommend.
And it did poorly at the box office. I was surprised at that. They had big names in it too, and it didn't draw. I mean, it's not a remake. It's not like they were, making whatever 6 here. I mean, it was an original.
It's nonfiction, like
Right.
Oppenheimer. Watch Oppenheimer. It's amazing.
Although they took a few liberties in Richard Jewell.
I may do Barbie before Oppenheimer. I may
Barbie.
I may be taking the daughter to see Barbie.
I don't know that it's a kid's. Well, it kind of is, honestly. It's
Wait,
PG-13.
Hold
Take it
on.
with a grain of salt.
Barbie.
How could Barbie not be a kid's movie?
Well, I don't know. There's like some blatant adult references in it.
Well, yeah.
Right over her head. They're for me.
Yeah, she'll be fine. It's a great movie though. Great watch. I think it's worth the watch.
So wait, you saw it?
Oh, I took the liberties of doing the Barbenheimer. I watched Barbie and Oppenheimer within a 24-hour span, and they were both great. I thought Oppenheimer was a little better, obviously, because it's a Christopher Nolan film and, it's peak cinema. But Barbie was a great watch. I think it was a classic. I think it's one of those movies that we'll look back on and be like, damn, that was a good movie.
So, so we'll view it like Shrek? Like
Kind
that
of.
type of, really?
That's
good?
a great comparison. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very funny.
All right.
There we go. Felipe's movie review.
Yeah, we're doing Siskel and Ebert here. Only it's the three of us.
And he's both of them because we haven't seen any of the movies.
I think he learned about Siskel and Ebert in the Twitch chat room
I
today.
did. I had no idea what that was. And that I said that format is basically replicated in YouTube channels nowadays. There are 7,000 of those.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That started it.
Yeah.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, we go to the friendly skies. Been so much bad and ugly. Why don't we give you a little good? But the feds are asking for small planes bathrooms to be big enough for 2 people. The Department of Transportation announced a rule which require all airlines to make lavatories on single-aisle planes large enough to 2 people to enter in a move to make bathrooms more accessible. The Mile High Club has never been so easy to join. For the bad, we go to Ocala, where a 16-year-old girl was arrested after she set a couch on fire at a hotel, causing guests to be evacuated early in the morning following a fight with mom. She was at the Hilton Ocala when she and mom had a fight, and she lit the couch on fire, basically evacuating the entire hotel.
I don't know if that's the move. Is she blatantly getting a lighter and just lighting it on fire?
Probably, if she's 16, I'm guessing it's mom's lighter. Mom went out for a lung dart.
Especially after that fight.
She comes back to the room in flames. We go to Flagler County for the ugly, where a trespassing dispute at a Florida Gulf Coast community landed one homeowner in jail. He sprayed a woman passing by in the face with his garden hose. Deputies were summoned to Plantation Bay and Country Club when the suspect's wife called 911 to complain about the victim displaying a gun. The 62-year-old property owner was arrested with simple battery after spraying his neighbor in the face with a garden hose. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 27th, 2023.
Not much going on today. Big news in the sports world likely to be college football. Colorado makes it official late this afternoon to the Big 12. Be interesting to see what Oregon, they have an 11 a.m. Pacific Coast time board meeting, specially called last night. What it is they say publicly. Will other schools? There's a guy who covers Arizona who tweeted out this morning, my sources say Arizona is gone. So we'll be curious what happens today. How much of the Pac-12 disintegrates before our very eyes today? Dalvin Cook is visiting the Jets as we speak. Boy, does that drive his price up for the Dolphins? They really want him going to the Jets? That'd be a good signing. Breece Hall's coming back from a torn ACL. You can take your time with him.
It'd be $20 all over again.
Yeah, it really could be. Veteran quarterback making the move. The other similarity between the teams, how many games did the Bucs win before Brady arrived? 7. How many games did the Jets win last year? 7.
Stop it.
Okay.
Quit making comparisons to them.
Two good defenses, too.
You want the Jets to lose. I know. There's only 5 baseball games today. That's it. No Marlins, no Rays. Angels with a doubleheader in Detroit, an old-fashioned 1 and 4:30 double dip. Mark, if we were there, we'd be playing hooky today. This sucker be over. We got Ohtani pitching at 1 o'clock. Oh, it'd be over. Over. Liquid lunch. Walk to the ballpark. Oh, yeah. Probably nap in between games. Oh, yeah.
To Greektown by noon, knock down 2 conies, get to the game by 1:15. Oh, it'd be perfect.
Yep. What's interesting here is, so the Mets are 7 games below 500. Their next 7 games are against the Washington Nationals and Kansas City Royals. In the middle of those 7 is the trade deadline. I mean, I guess if the Mets sweep the Nats, all 4 games, get to within 3 games of 500, be, I don't know, 5 or so games out of the wild card, maybe they don't sell, but doubtful. How about the Cubs, Mark? They just got done sweeping the White Sox. They got a 4-gamer with their arch rival, the Cardinals, who are playing better of late in St. Louis. Cubs just a game below 500 within 5 of the wild card. Angels made the big trade. If you missed it, they got Giolito from the White Sox and another reliever. Gave up 2 top prospects at AA, one a switch hitting catcher, one a lefty pitcher. They're going for it. 4 back in the wild card. Getting Trout back in a couple of weeks. They're going for it. It's a big doubleheader for the Angels because they go to Toronto after this. That ain't easy. So there you go.
Looking forward. I'm hoping MLB Network shows that 1 o'clock Tigers-Angels games.
Well, those are the only 2 games before tonight, and there's only 3 games tonight. So, I mean, I would have to bet MLB Network's got Ohtani. I mean, come on. Your MLB Network, Ohtani's pitching. There's no other games going on, and you don't show it? I mean, they'd shut the network off.
It's my hope for this afternoon. A little baseball, a little house cleaning, David. Big day on tap for me. Big day.
Can you clean the house with Ohtani on?
Oh, yeah. I'll just crank the volume around the house. If there's anything important, I come back. It'll take a little longer, and it will be a little bit of a half-assed job, but I can get away with that once in a while. Miller and Moulton. Don't forget to sign up for Dr. Roto's Fantasy Football Summit. Go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Have a great day. We'll do it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers